Welcome to the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson, Rick Avalos, and their special guest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Image Critique Show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's going to be a good show. My good buddy and brother in life, Ricky Avalos, how are you, sir?
I am doing terrific, Jeffy. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited.
In Florida and all that terrible weather.
It's been horrible. Yeah,
Oh.
It was terrible down there. And the seafood.
It was so terrible. It was so terrible. He had to wear shorts that were just 1 inch longer.
Well, I had to try all the seafood, too. So,
of course.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back, brother. And we're off to running a really neat evening tonight. My thanks as well to Cliffy.
Yep.
Without Cliff Lawson, manning the controls and keeping us in line and keeping us in order, things wouldn't go as smoothly as they do. So
I think we'd go crashing. We'd go crashing.
It's a tough job. It's tough.
Well, thanks anyways, though.
Got to do it, right?
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
It's like the glamour photographer that's photographing all these beautiful women, and yeah, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do
it. Rick, no, this is nothing like that.
Rick, do you do the honors? Introduce our dear friend.
Yes,
guest.
I'd be more than honored to do that. And after I offer my introduction, I'd like you to follow up, Jeff, because you and Kevin have been comrades for many, many years. But Kevin and I have known each other for a few years, and Kevin is just a real inspiration to me, artistically, spiritually, creatively. His work is just so ethereal, and his contact information is on our site. But by the time when we end, we'll ask Kevin to give some more information about how he can be reached, because he is an individual that needs to be recognized and learned from. Kevin is living now in Atlanta, and you were in South Carolina for a while, and we were proud to have Kevin in Colorado for many, many years. And hopefully we can get him back.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
We're trying.
That's the plan. Yes,
we're trying. And Kevin's been, how can I say it? Part of the PPA community, but not in so many words, because his vision and his photography goes kind of out of the box, which is the cliche thing, but beyond the boundaries of PPA. And that's why we invited Kevin, because we felt that it would be interesting and productive and educational for those of us to learn from a little bit of a different perspective. I don't want to pile it on to, because Kevin is one of the most humblest people I met, but Professional Photographers of South Carolina, Photographer of the Year, correct?
Correct. 2017.
And International CME Exposure Awards. Explain that to me, please. I'm not familiar with them.
So some of these awards that you see that I've entered are more online kind of competitions that are more internationally based, if you will. Not any money that's involved in it, just awards.
Oh, we get rich in PPA with our awards.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's and that's a lot of those competitions that I've entered is how I was able to meet such a large group of international photographer friends that I get my inspiration from when I'm not getting my inspiration from folks like you and Jeff. These international photographers, especially the photographers in Europe, are just absolutely mind-boggling, and so I garner a lot of inspiration from them. I mean, Europe has been involved in arts far longer than we have. Let's face it. Yeah.
And your work primarily what, architectural, landscape. What I do enjoy about your images, like I mentioned earlier, the ethereal look, those long exposures where we see the softness and just really creates an emotion from me, myself as a viewer.
Thanks. Appreciate that, Jeff. I
You
mean,
bet.
Ricky, sorry.
But, you know, and we can go on and on, but I really would like to have Jeff kind of wrap this introduction, because we've got quite a few images, and we want to give everyone their fair share.
Yeah, well, and Kevin and I have been buddies for quite a while, and just really connected on a lot of levels other than photography. So that's definitely a brother in arms,
Yeah.
as we say. So thank you, Kevin, for giving us time. And a lot of you remember, he helped us out last month when Cliff was unable to jump in. So he was our engineer for the night. So just fun to have him as part of the. We've promoted him now to not that there's a low level engineer, but that's what Cliff's looking at me like, what? What'd you say?
Cliffy.
Hey, Cliff, come back. Cliff. No, anyways, yeah, he's gone. But no, Kevin,
Cliffy, just remember, Cliffy, I'm your friend. I didn't say
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Now I know.
Cliff, who signed your paycheck, huh? Okay, so we just
Okay.
haven't mailed it to you yet.
Hey, Cliff, who
Yeah,
brings you Twizzlers?
you do. Yes, thank
Well,
you.
I think we've lost our engineer, Rick. We've lost the president.
Where are
of
you
the
getting
company.
that we, Kimosabi?
We've lost the president of the company here. So, Kevin, he's here tonight? Yeah. So back to Kevin. Anyways, yeah, I've been just totally impressed with his work and his vision. I like that it's outside of what we normally see. PPA has wonderful competitions, wonderful artists, but we also kind of see that there's a little bit of a main track there that we kind of have to follow and for some of the rules and not to go down that direction. But that's kind of where the show came about, is to help folks with their composition. And when I think of outstanding work, it goes to Kevin's work and what he's done and such. And that's why we're happy to not just have him as a friend, but to have him tonight as a B. So you're going to hear some kind of different points of view and just another aspect on things. And I don't know what more we can say, Kevin. We need to start the show.
Yeah.
What more do you want to add
images.
from what you've seen? What more do you want to add to what you look at, what you're wanting to get help us with tonight?
I mean, you know, when I look at photography, the type of work that speaks to me the most is something that that tells a deeper story than what you may just be seeing in the image alone. I like to see artworks that have been put together by a maker that have taken the steps to take a simple, what could amount to more documentary photography, and converting it into something that's a little more fine art, a little more powerful, a little more meaning. And you can do that with a simple you know, compositional choices, but how you control the light and post-production and simple things like that. Minimalistic approaches always speak a lot to me because it's just more of a Zen-like feel. So that's when I'm looking at photography that speaks to me. I'm looking for a storytelling aspect in it, something that has a deeper level, deeper meaning.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely relate to that. I know a lot of people do, and I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to have you as being one of our guests here to share that with us.
And I am very honored to be here, without a doubt. So thank you guys both. Cliffy
Well,
too. Let's not forget Cliffy too.
And Cliffy too. Absolutely. Well, you know, he signs our paychecks. So
Yeah,
That's
he
right.
does. Yeah.
Hey, let's get started. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get in.
Do it.
I'm going to steal the screen and be working with. Let's see if it'll let me do the correct screen here, and it did. There we go. Look at that. How about that? So let's. All right. So we've got a few images, and again, everybody, for those of you who are new, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it up here in my Photoshop and share this with everybody, and then we're going to take turns chatting about it. And our first image tonight is. And for those of you who are watching, if this is one of your images, feel free to jump in any of the images. That's fine. We're, you know, totally up to you, but feel free to jump in, ask questions, whatever. This one's called 3 of Everything. And if I am reading the title wrong, holler at me. But Kevin, we're going to go ahead and jump at you and let you start this off. What do you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Right out of the gate, this has impact to me because as I just said, it's a very minimal image. When I see architecture work or anything that has architectural elements in it, the first thing I'm looking for is the perspective, and if that's in control. The verticals are spot on, they're nailed. I could tell the maker spent time making sure that that was either nailed upon capture or in post or both. And the placement of the door is strong, and that element to the right, whatever the heck that is, if it's cut out of the wall or if it's composited in, it looks really nice. And there's something about the power of three, and I love that you have this three here that's dead center on these, and then there's three of these elements here as well, and three panels on each door. I mean, look at this, 3 door hinges. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of threes in here, 3 little elements in that door handle. This is a pretty powerful image, really well done. The exposure is handled well. I love the presentation. Just wow, I like it a lot.
There's even
This would
3
sell. This would be an image that someone would buy and hang on a wall. This is definitely a gallery quality image.
There's even 3
Yeah,
arches, 3 posts, 3 or columns, or bits of
3 of
this.
everything.
Yeah,
Hence
so
the
it's
name. Really
done
cool.
well. Well, thank
3
you.
levels of stairs.
Yeah, 3 steps, absolutely. Rick,
I
anything
mean,
to add to this?
if I were to just point out a few things that I would maybe control, it would be just a couple little spots here in the ground that are seeping in. Just kind of come back and look at some of these edge elements, I call them.
Right.
Even this little darker area here, all along the rest of the side up through the building here looks great, but just maybe a couple little elements on the ground that keep drawing my eye down. I would maybe look at cleaning those up. So good though.
Just one thought, and I mean, Kevin, this is right down your alley, and as well as Jeff, but what are your thoughts? Conversion, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay with me doing it real quick?
Yeah.
I don't hear you.
Yep.
This image has a strong possibility for black and white conversion, for sure.
And why, Kevin? Because of the tonal range that it would
I
hold?
think so, yeah. You would likely have to brighten that yellow up, because I think on a conversion it would blend a lot with that door. Those two tonalities are quite similar, so the yellow wall would have to come up in value to give it see how it's now a similar value to the door.
Right.
So there you go. So that's what I'm saying. So you bring the yellows up or down. I wouldn't go down, I'd come up. To have that contrast up there, and still want to have some texture in above the, that texture that's up here in the wall is really important. Kind of up in here, that's an important texture to maintain. But it's interesting when you see those yellows and other colors, you may not know out of the gate that it's actually not going to convert very well until you've done this for a while, and then you'll be like, yeah, that's going to be a very similar tonality of gray.
No.
But that's the beauty of capturing in color, because we
Corey
can
wants the
handle
pink
that.
one.
She does?
Yeah, she's like, I need that pink one. Who's going in and grab it?
Can we mute, please?
Mute all, yeah.
Yeah. Here's
Yeah,
my
Jeff. Yeah,
my
right.
next
Good call.
question, guys. Maybe that element to the right of the door is there. Maybe it's composited. How would you feel about it? Just taking it out and cropping a slim of the door, because we still have that theme of the threes. I'm just.
I would bet that element was there. That's the original part of the building, and this is the new building. I mean, I'm just guessing on that. But to maybe do something like this.
And then see, now we're starting to, even though the door seems to be a little bit square, it seems to me to be dipping a little bit to the right on the bottom right corner. But anyway, just, this is why we're here, guys and gals that are viewers, just offering thoughts and suggestions. Ultimately, it's your choice.
Yeah. I'm not sure I love this composition, but I do see what you're saying, Rick, about removing that that element to the right of the door. I think if it was just solid wall over there, the placement of the door in the frame is just gorgeous. So just having solid wall.
You're saying just this wall be textured like
Yeah.
the rest of it.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yep,
Point, good
exactly.
point.
And how about
Because
the
the
how about the
composition's
street?
is strong.
How about the street? Do you
Uh,
think is there too much, not enough? No, no.
I like the street down there,
Okay.
actually.
All right.
Yeah, I think it gives a good solid base. Yeah,
Cool.
maybe you could come up a tiny bit in it, but not too much, not all the way to the curb or anything.
Right.
No.
No, it does have a nice lead-in feel
Yeah.
to it. It kind of emulates the angle, the thickness, and I'm just kind of guessing the width or the height of the bottom of the print to the edge of the curb. It looks like it's almost double from the edge of the curb to the base of the steps. So you got a nice transition there.
Mhm. Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
All right. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and move along here. And our next image is called Alone in the Bayou.
Wow,
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
this is gorgeous. That
Okay.
environment is just absolutely stunning.
Isn't
And
it?
the
Yeah.
way the light has been handled on the leaves of the tree, that's what caught my eye right out of the gate. The fog and the trees, and I'm like, holy cow, there's a bird sitting in there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfectly placed.
That's
Rick,
the
this is right up your alley because there's a model in there.
Yeah, and,
May not
and
be
I
a
thought,
person, but
man,
it's still a model. I mean, come
so
on.
cool to have that model there. And wouldn't it be cool if there was a guy just on a little boat here diagonally that you
This
guys,
is really
you know
pretty,
me.
guys.
So is this a suggestion to the maker next time they're deep in the bayou?
Yes,
Yeah.
to bring a little boat and someone to paddle in it. Oh, you make a better boat than me.
I mean, there's not a lot of things that I would change in this image, frankly.
You're
Couple
right.
little cleanup spots. Always check your edge elements again. There's like this little dot right up there, little bright spot right there to hit. And maybe some of this stuff down here could go away potentially.
Well, I look at that
It
too,
ki-
and think the same thing, but I'm looking if that was gone, then you'd have,
Yeah.
I think, a rather empty area right
Yeah.
here. This is
I could
just
go either way on that.
subtle enough that I think it's good.
And I might consider losing this little highlight area that's between the trees, just that one though, because I like the others that are elsewhere in the frame, but that one's just a little close to the edge for my liking.
Okay.
But the
Yeah, and
composition's so strong.
it is. And a lot of times our viewers might be thinking, oh, you got to be kidding me. That little light thing to the left, or up on top, or this stuff down here. But and I'm kind of either way on this one down here, but those little things could add that extra point, 2 points, 3 points, whatever, because the whole idea is to keep the judges or any viewer for that matter into the composition and into what is important and not to what is not important.
Well, that's a good point that Rick makes, and a lot of folks have said it's getting awful nitpicky and whatever, and I don't like to choose that word, but when you start getting an image that when we were talking, scoring points that we did for years, those are the little things that get your score not just 80 but higher, gets it into the 90s, the 95, the 96, those little tiny things, because when a wonderful image is presented, it's kind of the stuff like this, like Rick is selected here with the blue. Those are the things that will stand out. So if everything else is in line, good composition, good color tones, all those kind of things, then it's all these little things that start popping out, and those are the things again that will bring you just a little higher in score. And the other little trick that, and we've mentioned it many times in the show, but flip your image upside down and just look at that sort of a thing to. Let's see, I'm gonna get out of here. Back to Photoshop. Let me just do that real quick here. Oh, I did the wrong thing. I stopped too soon there. So just looking at your image upside down kind of messes with your mind. and you start seeing the other little things that are less obvious when it's right side up, like what Rick talked about here and Kevin was mentioning, and just stuff like that. And it's funny, this little stump right here catches my eye. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. It's something that you need to see, but I always look at these things and then I ask myself, is it helping my image, or is it pulling pulling the viewer's eye away from what you want them to see? So
Exactly. Yeah. Like I like to say, there's no perfection in photography, but there is precision. Precision.
yeah, well said, because perfection is a word that people they get scared away. So we used to talk about that 100 score. Well, that wasn't necessarily a perfect image, it was just the top of that category.
Yeah.
But by all means, we want to shoot for that, which says, hey, you've done a pretty dang fine job there to get something to go that high.
Right.
All right, moving along.
Hey, Jeff, what if you flipped it? Instead of having that big white spot on the right, you'd have it on the left and come into the scene versus having that big white spot on the outside.
Well, sure. Like that?
Yeah, like that. And then that kind of draws your eye to the bird too. Gives you something to fall on and look at. So, again, maker's decision, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see.
Actually, that's not a bad comment, Larry, because that spot in the middle does pull attention and the bird is there. But when you go over here, I do tend to, for some reason, the bird stands out more to me. That's the optical illusion. Guys, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well,
I could go either way, honestly,
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
if I had my druthers, I would take this perspective.
The
Yeah,
flip.
probably.
This is Cliff. I find that that bunch of moss in the middle there kind of draws your eye when you're going left to right. It kind of pulls your eye right down to the bird
Right.
This way,
Mhm.
Cliff, or the other initial way, the original?
this way, like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have this movement here,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's true. And even
Yeah.
this little one branch right here helps pull us in. Even this
Mhm.
angle helps pull us in that direction. So it brings us to the bird more. Yeah, I kind of like that. And then, as dumb as this sounds, this little piece right here pulls my eye away. Not all of this, but just that one little piece there. I would probably eliminate that. So wait, what do I know? All right, let's see. Let's move along here. But beautiful image maker. No. So next we have ancient cathedrals.
First black and white of tonight.
Yay! What do you think,
Woo.
Kev? What's your
Ah,
thoughts?
a lot of depth in this image. Look at
Yeah.
that. Wow. Really nice tonal control throughout. This is one of those images where there's no subject matter per se. The entire frame is your subject matter, the entire scene. The atmosphere is gorgeous in here. Just all this kind of rising fog here. It kind of could look a little bit like some haloing, but I don't believe it to be so, because there's just all this fog that's coming up through all of these ridges. So that's what that is there. It's atmospheric.
Right.
So that to me looks really well. And the tonal control down in here in these shadow areas is very well controlled, I feel. And the only suggestion I could maybe make here on this would be to brighten some of these areas here a little bit, where the highlights already exist. Just bring them up a touch. And then maybe a little more texture in the sky. It looks a little bit like it needs to be rotated counterclockwise, because we have a little lean in the clouds here down this way. That's your horizon, essentially. Hard to tell what your horizon actually is on a mountain range, but your sky will for sure show what it is. This is a beautiful image, and I think it's well handled tonality wise.
Rick, anything you want to add to
Rick,
that?
what do you think?
No, I think it's very well covered. I really can't add it anymore.
Yeah, I would say so. Here's a question that I always pose to myself, but I'll see what you guys think. When we get a beautiful landscape like this, And I think the element, the main scene catcher are the lines here, the shadows like Kevin referred to, and brings us through. And then sometimes when we get a sky that has a lot going on, I kind of feel it starting to almost conflict a little bit instead of carry through. I would look at this and I might have even cropped this a little bit tighter. Maybe something like that, just to pull the mountains, to have the mountains be a little more. What are your thoughts on that, guys? Any yes, no?
Yeah, I think if you came down just below that bank of dark clouds at the top, about where your line is, that would probably be a pretty good crop. That would almost make it a 2-to-1 at that point too, which is a great ratio in my opinion. That would look really pretty.
Because again, I think I mean,
Yeah,
I would even
out
maybe
there.
go to here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right below that bank of dark clouds. Yeah, yep. And that's about a 2-to-1 ratio right there.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And
Yeah,
that's
it's a nice balance.
that eliminates the need to rotate it much at all. You could even clean up with your spot healing brush this dark cloud there, and maybe this one here just to soften that a little bit. I think you're right, Jeff. That adds a lot.
There's a lot of nice texture in the sky already, and even this hill back here. I don't have my pen out here. I don't know if that's more mountain or sky pattern, but it does emulate what's happening here, but it doesn't pull your eye away from it. And yeah, like you said, getting rid of maybe these couple of things here. I think really then the mountains become strong because the sky becomes very supportive role in this scene. And I think a lot of times we see a beautiful mountain scene, landscape scene, and then the sky is so busy with clouds that it's actually pulling away. Rick, anything to add to that?
Yeah, we're up in the top right third in that PowerPoint. I guess I could do that right in here. And I think that was rendered so well. And with the crop that you just gave it, man, we're just leading right up to that area. Because I don't know, for me, that just has so much value there because it's just so muted, but soft and ethereal, where everything else around it is rough and strong, and just very, very pleasing composition.
I like it.
Well done to the maker.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Moving right along here. We now have this amazing portrait here that doesn't have a title, so I'm not reading a title. It has a name. I don't know if that matters. But Ricky, let's jump into you since that's kind of your strong suit of the portrait world.
Okay. Lighting to me is off the chart. I mean, when we have a character like this that we have in this gentleman, this hero, and that character is accentuated by strong directional lighting that masks the face, and the ratio that is just handled so well. Okay, that in itself is great. But then we've got a really nice kicker that comes in and separates the subject from the background, and the quality of the light that's coming in, and it creating the detail. Couple things that I would maybe suggest is to maybe crop up just a little bit so that we get rid of this area here, so we can either, if I do this, can I do that and shift and it'll do a straight line?
No.
No.
It has in the past. I don't think it's doing it now. I tried it and it didn't, but
Okay, just underneath the badge, or tone the heck down out of all this. But I think the story is all from this line above. Just a really good rendition of this gentleman. Great exposure. Are we a little close on the cropping on the top? I don't think so. But I'm just enjoying. I'm checking out some of the details here. you know, we talk about color harmony and everything. It certainly tells the story. So, well done.
Kevin, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I will jump in there. Let me get Rick's lines out of there real fast. I'm with you, Rick, here on this bottom element that caught my eye right away, but I'm not sure I would want to crop up because it would move the badge down too far to the edge. And I like the cropping at the top. I think of his beret was a different color, maybe not so much, or if the background was, you know, but it's so blended into the background that it's almost really nice to have a tight crop up there, in my opinion. What strikes me about this image is his gaze. The photographer did a very well at getting him to just gaze with such pride. Look at the pride in this gentleman. It's amazing. And that's something that only a portrait photographer that knows what they're doing can get out of someone, I think. That's not something that I could personally do, that type of portrait work, to capture that type of pride. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
you-
much more I can add to it. I think it's very well done. One thing I will mention just a little bit, and I'm just wondering if the whites of the eye on this side, if I don't know if that's been lightened or not, but it is just a little bit bright. Again, this is what we were talking about earlier. It sounds like I'm being really picky, but because we have the main light coming from this direction, we have a kicker, but the kicker's not going to hit this eye. And I'm just feeling that maybe that's just a hair too bright.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I can help you with that. The reason I'm seeing that area to be just a little brighter, certainly the kicker light is not lighting that part of the white, but a reflector is.
Yeah, I think that.
And
Yeah, I
that's-
see that.
And that's what's creating that secondary catch light.
See that right there. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
And you know
not.
what? Go ahead.
I'll say it's not really terrible, but it is because it's a white area, it is pulling my eye to that almost before the pupil.
Mhm.
Again, minor thing, but I think just tone that back just a hair. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the white on this eye over here. It's a little softer. I know we have a shadow in here, but I would maybe take this down. I don't mind this.
Mhm.
If this was down just a little, maybe make it red like that would be a lot better.
So I just want to jump in and ask, since this is my first time,
Yes.
when we have questions about this, about an image, you want us to ask verbally or in the chat?
Let's go ahead and use the chat, and Cliff is monitoring that.
Okay.
So that he can jump in at the appropriate time. And because of how I'm set up, Cliff, I am going to have to rely on you to watch the chat box.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be the best ways. If you have a question, put it in the chat, and then Cliff will jump in at the right time to ask.
But you know, if she has a question now, why not answer it now?
Yeah, yeah. Did you have a question?
I actually did. So for PPA competition, would you recommend removing the second catch light and just having one? I mean, I've heard in general, it's a solitary catch light that's recommended.
Rick, that's your strong suit.
That's a good point. And in this particular case, I would. And in general, I would. Because we don't have a secondary catch light in the eye camera left. So yeah, I would suggest taking out the catch light on the eye camera right. And just to kind of follow up on the cropping, and our friends here that are viewing, that's why there are 3 of us here. If we all agreed at the same time, there would be no reason for all 3 of us to be here. But, you know, we talked about this little area here. And then I mentioned about the crop and why I support cropping up like this. And Kevin made an excellent point about the area here. And I agree. I don't think it's too tight. If we crop up, as I suggest, it will pull the badge down, and that'll give us almost that same
Balance.
distance from
Yeah,
the top
I
and the
see that
bottom.
now, Rick. That balance, yeah. Top to bottom balance. Yep. You're right. Good point.
Thank you.
But again, that's why, like Rick just said, that's why the panels have five jurors plus the jury chair, because I think that's a lot more fair. It's more better because we've got more opinions.
It's more gooder.
See, more better
Jeff
works, guys. I don't
Johnson,
care
more
what you
better.
say. And they have new
Gooder,
t-shirts that
better,
say more
gooder.
better on them. So all right.
A great portrait.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Very stunning. So let's move on to the next one because we do have a few more beautiful portraits to talk about, beautiful imageries. So the next one is called Coming to Say Hi. I'll go ahead and throw some in at this one. So as a great it could be a reportage, photojournalistic kind of thing. It can be obviously a unclassified or whatever category I throw it in. But what a nice capture and story here. That's what catches my eye, first of all, especially. And again, we talk about titling, Coming to Say Hi. It really looks like that. I mean, you've got this situation where these three young elephants are going to come over and say hi to the photographer and see what are they doing? What are they doing? And capturing it in stride with the movement of the head, the twist, the ears up, all these things, just really, even the tail popping out over here, just really add this nice little tail popping up, just add a lot of nice stories. At first, I want to say, oh, it would have been nice if we'd have had, this guy's kind of hidden back here. Yeah, this one up in front is animated enough with the ears and the actually a nice S curve there for our portrait fellows. That I think this guy stands out. So this is kind of inconsequential. Then we have the other one over here. But we got just nice tones, nice color, highlight, shadow. So we get some nice depth to the scene. And then the little bit of green back in here just kind of stops our eye and brings us back into the scene. My first thought is maybe a square crop might have been, I don't know, I guess it's not that bad. I don't know if this area over here is necessary, but it's not bad. There's nothing out there that's pulling my eye away from the subject. But that's my thoughts. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100% on the square crop, Jeff. That's the first thought that crossed my mind. Was a square crop. I think would work really well for this image. What I'm enjoying the most is just the sense of movement created by the dust that's being kicked up everywhere. There's just a good sense of movement throughout this entire all these subject matters, with the tail, like you said, the ears. Really well done, in capturing that movement. But yeah, see, that square crop just feels, it just feels better to me there. Yeah, and you still have the grass up here, which is nice and strong. I think, like you were saying, Jeff, it bounces your eye back into the scene, which is quite nice. Yeah, well done. What was the title again?
Sorry, I'm gonna go over here. Coming to Say Hi.
Oh yeah, okay, great title.
Rick, anything you want to add to this?
Oh, you covered it.
Well, I know we did, but I just want to give you a chance.
That's so such a gentleman and a scholar.
I know, I'm telling you what. All right. Next we have, let's see, this is a Dance with Power and Grace.
Wow, that's all you, Rick. Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Number one, we've got great color harmony going throughout the image. Nice presentation. The lighting is very, very nice. Typically, I call it into the light when we do portraits, whether it's a female or a male. We want to maybe have their face, because we have almost a split lighting, kind of a Rembrandt type lighting. But if we notice that this lovely gal's face is turned to camera right, but the light is coming in from camera left, okay? What I would suggest, and for a couple reasons, is with this posturing, as beautiful as it is, to have the light coming in from camera right, then we would have a short type lighting that would sculpt her face.
For some contrast and texture, I'm going to make some crispy shots.
Make sure you turn your mics off, everybody. Thank you.
you know, having the light come in with this particular posturing from camera right is going to sculpt the face, number one, and that's the big thing. And number two, because it's coming in from camera right, it's not going to bring a blast of light into the bodice, if you will, or the chest of the subject. Now, in this case, I'm not seeing her garment as being white. You know, in a wedding gown, on a wedding gown, if we had light coming in from left to right, it would just blast out this area and whatever fall off on the bottom. But when the light is coming in from camera right in this situation, then it diminishes the light that's casted upon the bodice. Another thing, how do I get rid of those lines? Do I do the trash can
I
thing?
can do it. Yeah, the trash can, I can get it too, so.
But thank you. Another thing, very, very graceful posturing of her arm. Maybe trying to put just a little bit of a bend in the elbow. We've got a really strong diagonal line here that we want to maybe make it a little bit more feminine, maybe by opening the hand instead of seeing the knuckles in the back of the hand and letting the fingers kind of flow. The feet, I think, are handled very, very well. Obviously, she's, you know, an experienced dancer, but, you know, just little things like that. I also would maybe pull back a little bit. I think we're just a little crowded in the whole composition, but man, you know, if we were just to, the lighting is nice, but I just see it much more stronger if it was coming in from the right, camera right. So hope I haven't been too harsh, but I mean, it's a beautiful image and just something, you know, that a tweak here and there could really make this go.
Rick, let me ask you a question about it, Mr. Portrait. What do you think, how's this background element to you as a judge?
Oh, I think it's supportive, and I'll tell you why. With this particular situation, with the light coming in here, then we're going to have the highlight area in the background, which is natural, and then the fall off here. I think there's just a vintage quality here. You know, we could tone it down now, and you make a good point, Jeffy, because if we bring the light in from here, then this area is going to come up in value, which will, in my opinion, need to be toned down. But there's, you know, again, I went back to that color harmony and the values in the presentation that I think support it. But it could be toned down if that's what you're asking, or if it should just be taken out altogether.
Plus, I'm just wondering, as a portrait judge, when you see this kind of an image come up, and I'm just going to clear it real quick here. Do you find this to be supportive, helpful in telling the story, or pulling your eye away unnecessarily from
Well,
it?
if it's subdued as this is, my and a viewer's eye, you know, they go to the trying to pull. Oh, here we go. They go to the highest area of contrast.
Right.
First, and then drifts off. That's why, you know, that's all really secondary to me. Yeah, it could be toned down a little bit more. I wouldn't suggest taking it out because it's consistent with the rest of the background. So yeah, I wouldn't really have a problem with it.
And from my portrait upbringing, and again, it's, you know, depending upon our studio and our space and length of camera room and such, I maybe would suggest if the subject was, the subject looks like they're kind of close to the backdrop, and maybe if they were close, you know, further away from the backdrop, again, if you have that space or the you know, proper lens to be able to do that with, it might suggest, you know, 6-8 feet away from the backdrop. This looks like you might be a couple of feet from the backdrop, but I'm just, you know, I'm kind of guessing at that. Kevin, anything you want to add?
It's amazing. You guys point out when it comes to portrait work, so many things that I just overlook. And once they're pointed out, they become so obvious to me, and I suspect to our viewers tonight as well, which is wonderful. I agree with everything that you guys have said about the lighting now that I'm seeing it, and as well as her arm too, Rick. That's a great observation. I would almost like to see a little more light on her point shoes down here. She is on point, and that's part of her character is the fact that she's skilled at being on point. And so I might want to see just a tiny bit more light down at the bottom, but not tremendous amount more, just enough to help balance that perhaps. But I'm really enjoying all this movement in here, frankly. I like the texture in the background. It's intriguing. It's giving me something else to also look at. I even see a little hand here, kind of like on top of our head here, which is interesting.
I just see that
Just
now.
part of that, just part of that textured background. But I'm really enjoying this image, and appreciate all the things that you guys have pointed out. And I think the presentation is also handled well with the key line, very
Right.
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, you
very
know,
supportive, very subtle.
And what's
Yeah.
interesting, and I learned this from you landscapers, is to see the vista or whatever it is that you're
Mhm.
composing, and then see images within the image.
Mhm.
As I look at this image, you know, you were making that comment, Kevin, and then I thought, well, okay, let's look at those feet that are on point. You know, and is there an image, an illustrative image somewhere here
Mm.
that can be explored?
Mhm.
That's pretty good. That's a good catch, Rick. I like that a lot because that could
Yeah.
definitely be a very strong illustrative kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. And
Yeah.
hey, it might be an awesome black and white at there.
It probably would be. That particular composition that Rick just pointed out would be wonderful in black and white. I'm certain of it.
Question from the peanut gallery, and I only say it as a joke, not bad. But the question is, do you find the fabric going out of the frame distracting? So I'm assuming they're talking about up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit. It does make me wonder, you know, someone up on a ladder holding that or whatever, but I don't mind it, honestly. I think it looks good.
I don't either. If we can work out a little different, still that angle, opening the hand, the fingers, a little more feminine, then you know, we've got this composition here, here, and then flowing up. Not a bother to me, really.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rick.
Yeah, I
like it.
agree too. I think it's very supportive, but it doesn't take over. If it was too brighter than the dress, the face, then I think there'd be an issue. But I think it's well handled. So cool. All right, let's see. Let me clear and move along. And I didn't clear it. There we go. Okay, so let's see. And I'm gonna go back over here. Our next image is called Dawn in the Dunes.
I'll jump in on this one.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool time of day. What a, you know, if you didn't have this right back here, this is almost like it's been moonlit, frankly. So
Yes.
it is early in the morning for sure. And I'm really enjoying this composition. The crop choice is wonderful. The movement throughout this entire frame is just beautiful from all of these supporting things that kind of sweep you back into this. And you obviously can't help but miss that bright spot back there. I am slightly bothered by there's quite a bit of a banding in the sky back there that needs to be handled, and that could be a resulting of zoom, or it could be in the actual image. Jeff, you would have to let me know about that, but I do see some banding that's of concern that needs to be taken care of.
I mean this kind of area in here.
Yeah, exactly.
area.
That
Yeah,
all
I
that
just
stuff,
I saw
yeah.
that too, and I see this something over here, and that's something
Yep.
that I have to Chuck Maker. And when I saw that, my first thought was, could that be a texture overlay? But I'm thinking you're right, it might be some banding in
Yeah, and I think what's happened is the sky is probably a little bit brighter than what the maker wants it to be, and what I would want it to be as well. And the reason that I believe that is because I see some haloing that's happening right around this dune there, which is where they've darkened the sky down against that bright dune, and that causes haloing in your processing.
right.
So that needs to be cleaned up with a spot healing brush or the clone stamp tool or something. And then you can add just a little bit of noise in the sky, or actually the overall image, because you wouldn't even see the noise down here.
Right.
But if you added noise, that would take care of the banding issues in the sky, typically like a 0.5 or 1 noise.
Right.
is all you would need in Photoshop. Typically that would take care of it on the master file. Yeah. But I'm really enjoying this image.
Yeah, beautiful
very well
color
done.
harmonies throughout. I do
Yeah.
like that they have given us this focal point to
Yeah.
come to, because all these lines of the dunes bring us around, and it's just lots of nice, wonderful movement. This is my favorite little star dune right here, and gives us that great feeling of
This is for sure an image that would be hung on a wall and enjoyed for a lifetime. This is
Yeah.
this is one that could be sold, hung in galleries, hung in your home, whatever. It's that type of image. Yeah.
You know, and Kevin and Jeff, you being in that world in terms of
Mhm.
presentation, where do we draw the line between gallery, like gallery off-white mats and color harmonious mats like this one? Where do you make that distinction?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of times, we think in the fine art world, you'll see a white mat on this, and I think it would. I think if it was a black and white image, the white mat would be just spot on. Color like this, I don't know that white would be my choice. I kind of in my, I guess, just been having done this for so long. I shy away from matting altogether if it's not black and white with the white mat. I don't know, Kevin, we've talked about that before. I wouldn't have, for a color print like this for a client, I think I would rather have seen it framed and not matted. But that's just me. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, matting it, that's a whole different argument about why mats are used, and it's archival purposes so that the actual print doesn't stick to the glass. If you're going to be glazing it, behind a frame with glass, then I think you need a mat for archival
And
purposes.
I wouldn't use glass myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So acrylic face mount could be one way you could go if you wanted to not mat it. I've seen images like this done with a black mat that looks absolutely stunning with a black mat and a black frame.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be
just a dark black mat.
awesome actually to have
Yeah.
a dark black as opposed to a light black, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be just very strong, just to
Mhm.
be a very stark black, no key
Yeah,
line.
the bevel of the mat could also be black. So it'd be a
Yeah.
black mat with a black core.
Exactly.
So there's no white bevel on the mat. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where I was going. That would be stunning.
Yeah, Cliffy.
Yeah, and in the chat, Christine has a question. She says, but isn't this presentation really a part of PPA competition?
Yeah, it is. And the kind of the disclaimer, if I will, that we say a lot of times is that the basis to this show in our conversation is really more about composition, image quality. We do bring up what does or doesn't go for competition for PPA standards, but that's not our main premise here is PPA standards. It's more about composition, quality, subject matter, things like that. So yes, in the terms of PPA world, this is what they're looking for. But in the terms of presenting it to a gallery, showing it in an arts festival, that's part of our conversation as well. So you kind of have to go, where are you coming from in your thing? A lot of people will submit with the mats, but you notice we've had a couple already that didn't have mats around it. We didn't really say much about it. So
I think that for competition purposes, this presentation is pretty nailed. Frankly, I like the key line that's in color or in the same tonal range as the highlight of the dune. But I had made mention to the fact that this would be a print that could be sold, and that's what triggered Rick to probably ask about that matting in a physical world, how you would handle it. And we would handle it differently in a physical world than we would in a PPA competition. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I made that one of the comments I made when we opened up that this is, while a lot of us are PPA members, it's not necessarily just about PPA standards for that. I hope that answers the question there, Christine. Okay, keeping us moving along here. Let's go with our next image is called Family cruise. Kevin, what do you see here? What do you think?
I see my hair right there. That's what I see.
You guys, we shouldn't laugh, but yes.
That's
Well,
me right there. This is me.
Yeah, but
Uh,
you be thankful you have hair.
oh, that's great. What a great scene. You know, what a great capture with this this little duck up on top of mom's back here and the other one's trying to keep up. You know, there's such good sense of movement here. I think the composition is good. There's plenty of room here for them to move into, and there's enough room for them for where they came from. I think you could probably crop in a little tighter here on the left edge, perhaps, while still leaving the same amount of room on the right edge. I like the wake, and I kind of wish they were a little bit lower, perhaps in the frame. Perhaps some of this bottom could go away, but not getting into that reflection. So just up underneath that reflection. I
Right.
think that cropping choice would be good. Exposure seems to be handled pretty well. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, something in that ballpark.
I think it'd look really cool as a tighter pano.
Panos
Even
have
tighter,
power,
even
right?
tighter than this, Rick.
Yeah, coming down a little bit from the top.
Yeah. So like a 3-to-1. That's about a 3-to-1 there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
There's
this
a
empty
lot of
space
real
here.
estate. There was a lot of real estate above and beyond that.
There was, yeah.
Just
Sometimes
not-
you want all that negative space and sometimes you don't. It just depends.
Right,
And
right.
I think you're right. I think this does work better in a tight pano like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and sometimes, at least how I look at it, how I've learned is that we obviously know where they are. So sometimes having too much of water, maybe not too much is the right word, but it's not necessary because we obviously can see they're in water, and this just brings us into the animal, the ducks just a little bit closer, and really helps tell the story. We've got plenty of wake back here to show that they are moving pretty good clip. I love that we've got separate head positions so we can see there's many of them, and this one little guy in the back here is just absolutely precious. And I think let's go back real quick here. The presentation I think is done very well. We've got just a nice, I might suggest the stroke that looks like about a 20-25 pixel stroke. I might cut that down, take it down to 8 or 9 pixels, maybe even go with a lighter blue gray like the wake of the water.
Right,
It would be there. You want it to show, but we don't want it to ask for too much attention. All right. Moving along back to our next image, we have this one's got a little bit longer of a title here. I'm going to have to maybe go back over here to read this. This one is Food, Fellowship, and Refuge.
I'll jump in on this.
Yeah.
I again right out of the gate, I'm as someone that does a lot of architecture work of buildings and such, I'm looking at verticals, you know, right away. These windows over here, are they straight? Is this window straight? It's close. It's almost frustratingly close because it's not quite, but it's really close. And so it's well done. The maker, I can tell, recognized that needs to be handled. And so I appreciate that for sure. I think the composition is quite strong, frankly. I like this bright element up top here, the location of the main location of the sign in comparison to where this atomic cowboy is kind of centered. And I like the element over here of this bright window I think adds a lot to what's happening. However, I think it would also work with a crop here as well, either or. I could go either way. So I think both choices would work here and give you a different feeling overall.
So cutting that window out altogether, you're saying?
Altogether, you could. Yeah, I think it could work. Yeah. So you'd need to come in a little bit more, Jeff. Actually, you would need to come in so you're like either just outside that column or inside that column about halfway, one of the two.
Like that?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I think that works well too. But I actually kind of like the window over to the left. I think it adds to the story of this location and gives a little bit more room to the actual entrance to this Atomic Cowboy bar and restaurant or whatever this place is.
I think it kind of adds.
It has a grungy feeling to it, which I think adds to the atmosphere as well. That's kind of a grungy processing. Yeah.
I think that window on the left adds to the balance of the depth to kind of match the depth on the right of the scene.
Mm.
Let me ask you guys this question. So I'm seeing a style that we're seeing, and I'll refer to it as the Facebook or the Instagram grungy, blacks aren't black, gray tones, brown, red tones in there. I think this kind of falls into that sort of feeling. Rick, I'm gonna point this question at you because from what we're schooled on in blacks need to be black. I do see black in the windows at the top, the vacant windows, but in the other shadows and such, I'm seeing that more. What do you think about that, Rick, when you see that kind of feeling these days?
Okay. What I'm seeing and what I feel is that it is totally dependent on the image that's being presented.
Right.
You know, if we have a scene like this, I mean, the contrast range is all over the chart, from highlights to shadows, whites to blacks. And then to me, it's how, number one, how it's captured. Number two, how it's presented. Not so much the matte, the key line, etc. Presented, you know, like what Kevin said with the grungy look to it, whatever was in the maker's mind in how they want to present this image. So, you know, there are some images that are so contrasty, but yet they're so powerful in impact, and some images that should be on the softer side with a gradated tonal range, you know, that maybe fall short because they should have had that contrast. And then again, another extreme where you have the subject where, you know, all of the tonal ranges are captured, whether it's a portrait, a scenic, or whatever, and it still has that same impact. So, you know, it's really difficult to just pinpoint to say, okay, this particular image has that total contrast range, and I don't see detail in the shadows. Let's see. In the darker areas, would you even expect to see detail there? Would you expect to see detail here? Would you expect to see detail here?
Right.
No.
No.
Yeah, it's
No.
the image that's presented. I hope that makes sense, but
It does. That's kind of what I was looking for, is a little bit more of an explanation as far as what a judge comes from, the point of view. And I absolutely love this image. I mean, this is really up my alley, is the story that's here. And if you look at all the fine detail in the front of the building that Kevin was mentioning, I do feel there's a little bit of a lean, with minor, but it's definitely something that we see. But even right down to the texture in the snow underneath the fence in the foreground. But look at you can see the people sitting at the table right there in the window. They're having their conversation. The gal's drinking a beer or whatever. Right into the people down the line of the bar, deeper into the scene. I mean, this image has such story and such depth, from the cold outside and the glare of the lights, the flare of the lights, the building down the street on the right. Even if you notice, there's a bicycle on the right side of the screen there that just shouldn't fit because we're in the weather, but yet it's a bar and people live nearby, probably rode their bike in to have a drink with their friends. So what an amazing story that this is. This is absolutely just so well told.
yeah. And I really enjoy the cropping, you know, and it's been mentioned, but look how much care was taken right here, you know, that we could have cropped into that, we could have cropped, you know, but
I noticed that as well. Another power of 3 element up top there.
Exactly. Yeah.
3s are good.
Well, definitely
pay attention to
kudos.
some of these things here on the side here, like these little slight elements there.
Right. You're saying those they're good, bad, or indifferent?
No, I would eliminate these little bright spots here. Yeah.
This appeals to me as a like a travelogue
Yeah,
image in a book.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also, I
Absolutely.
see as an album cover here, back to the days of an old LP.
What are those, Jeff? I'm not sure. What are you talking about? Is that
They're
an is that an
long
MP3
play.
thing?
They're
Long
a really
play.
big CD, Kevin.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
big, that's they're usually black, and then they have a nice, pretty little picture in the middle, and never mind. Okay. I love this, you guys.
The
Good
question is the
conversation.
black on the LP, is it tonally, is it good enough? Is it too dark? Is it good color black? LP?
It falls in about a zone 1, I would say,
Okay.
because you're
All
going to
right.
see a little bit. Yeah, okay. All right. Good job, guys. I like this a lot. That's a very, very well done photograph. We next have Frosty Morning.
I'd say.
Yeah, good story. I'm going to jump in real quick here. Nice capture. I think we got a great story going on here. I do like that the animal is behind the weeds, so it lets us look into their world, and not that they're posing for the picture, or that it was a captured animal that's, the story is about. It's more about the cold and the frost and the feeling of the almost the fact that we captured the view of this animal without it being aware of our presence. Nice presentation, good, just off white, so we don't have this glaring white. The mat, small. I actually like this in this case. I'm feeling that I might be wrong, but there's a little, maybe a bevel put on the liner. I don't know if that's necessary, but Rick, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, a couple things. Darn it, I'm waffling and between the composition, the bullseye composition. Do I like it? Do I don't? And then I come in and I crop it from the right, and I really do like it when I crop it in from the right, just up to, let's see if I have my little guy here, something like that. And the second thing for me, the matte, I like the color that was used, because and the width, because it's not overpowering. But in this case, I think a whiter matte, less, what is it, Kevin? 10% or so
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
would benefit this image a lot.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want to you never want to go with a full pure white matte, guys, in a
No.
PPA competition, because when it comes up on screen, it's just too bright.
Boy, and if
So
there's any one thing I've learned throughout this whole experience with the image critique show, was that was a real gem, and that Kevin brought to my mind. So
So
yeah.
you think you're talking a crop maybe like this, Rick?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe even up just a tad from the bottom.
Ted.
That's a tad.
Yeah.
No, that's too
Yeah,
many.
Rick, I'm with you. That was immediately what I felt when this image popped up, was the bullseye composition. It just didn't feel quite right on it. And I started looking at that left plant that you saw, and I was like, I bet you could crop that out by just coming in like this. What I do love is what I love is the long aspect ratio. I do enjoy that. I just wanted the wolf or the coyote to be more to the right of the frame.
Yes.
So that but in the same aspect ratio would look amazing. So if there's another capture perhaps of this same animal that would allow for this 3-to-1 panoramic crop, but have the animal be more to the right, I think would work better. Or the crop that you mentioned, Rick, that right there.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Kudos to the maker for making this capture then, rather than waiting for the coyote to get it clear. I really like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's very strong. And like I said, it's almost that voyeur kind of a
100%.
feeling.
Yeah.
So nice.
And also for the maker not getting eaten, good job as well. I'm assuming that they didn't get eaten.
Well, I always have salt and pepper in my backpack in case we need to be flavored a little bit. Okay, moving along.
So you shouldn't have jerky. So you shouldn't have jerky on your breath when you're photographing these critters, right?
That's correct.
Probably not. Yeah, probably
That's
not.
correct. And we can talk to our friend Gary Phillips about
yes,
if campsite torn apart by a bear when you're off shooting. I mean, shooting, hunting
Hunting. Yeah.
story there. But let's move on. This is a little birdie told me. A little birdie told me. Yes, that's it. Get rid of the crop tool here. Come on, go away. For crying out loud.
Go, Jeffy.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this is tough shooting sometimes when you have these little birds in this environment, and I think it's done well because we have a nice clear view of the bird, and I even like to head down just for something a little different. It's a very nicely done, sharp, crisp image, good exposure. Again, I'm going to jump on that key line. I think maybe is a little too much. I don't mind the color of it because it needs to be definitely defined. So again, I always like to go 8, 9, 10 points on a keystroke that just puts it there without being too obvious. I don't mind the white. I think if it was narrower. The matte color, dark brown, I maybe have come to a little bit more of a medium brown, but it does color coordinate. Where to do the crop, I think you've done a nice job because you look at all of the weeds going on there and it's like, where do I cut it? But I think it's nice placement. We got a little bit of possibility for movement in this. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Jeff. I like the I like I like the choice of aperture, especially on this capture, so
Yeah.
that the background is you're only capturing what the bird's immediate environment is in, and you have no idea what's going on back here. I mean, hell, there could be a road and buildings back there. We don't know. So it's really well done as far as the aperture choice. Focal length is probably quite long, I would imagine, on this capture.
Probably, yeah.
You know, great lighting. I think I love that it's almost monochromatic, in fact, with all the similar colors that are happening throughout. I would have almost liked the bird to be, and my color pen is not showing up so much here, but
You can
down in
change
this
color
area
too,
here. Yeah, let me get a different color here. Like let's just do a red here.
It's the same color as the
Clear my drawing. So then, so if the bird were like down here just a little bit, I think would be a little bit better. And even looking down out of frame, you're wondering what's the bird looking at. I think that could tell a pretty cool story, frankly. It's another one of those bullseye compositions that I'm just not certain about. I almost would like to see it a little different.
Let's just play for a sec. So let's just
Yeah.
move her over just a hair more. Maybe even more.
I would crop in from the left. There
Yeah,
you go.
maybe.
And up from the bottom just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that feels better to me.
Here's the original.
You know, when we have these environments out in nature, nature's messy. It's just messy, and there's a lot of stuff happening in here. And so I commend the maker for being able to tamp down a lot of what's going on in the background and just catch the immediate environment of this bird. And that's the environment that they live in. And so we just have to embrace that. And I think it's a pretty image, especially with that last crop you did, Jeff.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I really like about it is that, I mean, the color harmony in this is just gorgeous. I mean, all the way through to the background. A lot of times you'll get the gray, the blue, especially if early morning or late night, you get that cyan back there, which is, I find so offensive. Just that nice little line coming through of some color that matches kind of the gray and the bird. The color harmony here is just absolutely stunning. Rick, what do you think? Anything else you want to add?
No, you know, there's a lot of busyness in the image, but when you look at the color of the you know, the foliage, the reeds, and the color of the bird, that's nature. I mean, nature made that bird to blend in with its environment for its own protection. But you know, I think this crop helps it a lot.
Yep, agreed.
All right. Good work there, Maker. Hope we're giving you some help and not just stepping on your toes. This one is called Mad Cat. What a great story.
Oh, Lord.
What do you think, Kevin?
I'll jump in. Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I didn't love the noise, the digital noise, the grain, if you will.
Oh, I love that word,
image.
grain.
Grain, yeah.
Heard that in a long time.
But the more I look at it, the more I'm kind of liking it because it's a somewhat haunting story here. You have this cat sitting there staring at this person off frame, which I actually like them off frame like this. That's quite intriguing. And next to this knife that's down here, and it's almost like it's out of a kind of a Alfred Hitchcock movie, sort of. So the grain
Exactly.
fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, knowing me, I'm a little bit bothered by this vertical not being vertical. And I would want to fix that. But what a cool story. And I love that the cat is beneath the break in the glass. So you have this break in the glass here and the cat's just enough beneath it to where you can see the almost the full cat's head. The ear is missing, but really cool. I'm not sure about what's happening here with this glow around that. Not sure what's going on there, so I don't know
Oh,
what to
there
do
you go.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's probably the only thing that caught my eye that
yeah.
didn't fill the story. But yes, what a great story. I don't mind we'll call it grain. Maybe a little bit deeper in the tone, but what a great story. Good work. All right. Next we have Moab Early Morning. This was a smaller file, so I will enlarge it a little bit. Hopefully it won't. Yeah, it's holding up. I was afraid it might.
It's holding up.
What a great time of day. I mean, to see this arch, and I like this especially because so many times we've seen this arch at a different time of day, which really I think classifies it as a certain thing. But to really be able to have that horizon back there show up with the moonlight and the stars just really gives us a different feel. It's just very well done. Technically, it's very well done. Because if you look carefully, there's definitely detail in in those shadows in there, which is so hard to do with night photography. And yet we've retained detail and color in the light part of the rocks. The matte supportive, maybe, well, I guess maybe it's just no, never mind. It looked like there was another lip at the key line at the edge of the image, but no, it's not. But look at it, nice and crisp, good tone throughout, good exposure. Anything else to add, guys?
Yeah, I'll jump in and add a few things. I'm really enjoying this image. I think the lighting on it is really nice. I think there are a few things that I would personally tackle if it were my own image, just to clean up. I like the hole that's cut in here, and I would like to see it a little cleaner. So some of these clouds could be very easily removed. I like the ones that are down here low, but some of the other ones that are angled differently, I think could just come out and just help clean that area up a little bit.
Okay.
And then, hit a couple little highlight areas like these guys just grab my attention, and that's not where the maker wants us to go. So just eliminating the smaller teeny elements are the ones that kind of tend to grab your eye and become distractions versus adding to the actual photograph. So if it's not adding, it's subtracting. So yeah, just, kind of go through and just nitpick it a little bit. And, Jeff said earlier he doesn't like that word, but I do. I nitpick the heck out of my own images, and the results are a much cleaner presentation in the end. And I love the lighting on the mountains in the background back here. See that?
Yeah, isn't that gorgeous?
Really pretty. Yeah.
Rick, any more you want to add to that?
Just two thoughts. There's so much power in this area. Do we need all that much on the top?
Oh, I mean,
Prop from the top down. Then are we going to say, okay, now we're pushing that horizon line in the middle? Is that so bad?
No, because I think it's broken up by the arch. Oops, I took my tool off here. Because the horizon line doesn't go all the way to the edge of the scene. I think with the arch being here, that kind of allows us to be a little more free with the.
And you mentioned there's a little bit of detail in darker area here, but on a little stand behind this mound with a remote, a little Vivitar putting up a little flash in here.
Well, you know,
That's a joke.
No, but actually, no, there was a big thing for a long, many years that people would add flash to arches out there, and actually that has been banned from the park. Just so you know that you're right, Rick, because the people were lighting the underside of arches, and if it's done properly, it's stunning. But they actually it's against their laws out there to add flash in the middle of the night to a scene. So that's not out of line what you're saying. People were doing it for a long time. So
Okay.
so you're
I
not
like the
wrong,
sky
buddy.
up top, by the way. I
What's
like
that?
the sky up top. I like that space. Rick was asking that question.
Oh,
Should it come
right.
down?
You drop it
I
down.
tend to like it because it allows us to see more stars and more of the dark part of the sky, and I tend to like it up there.
And also good exposure time to the maker because we don't have
Yeah.
these stars are crisp, they're points and not blurs, not too long exposure. So well done. So I have to add this like I usually do. The only thing that's missing is it should say Jeff Johnson right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the maker wants to sell it.
All right, all right, all right. Touche.
If any of our viewers know Jeff and I, you know how we go back and forth. So, you know, I don't want to get hate mail.
So far, the chat box is staying pretty nice. So, okay, this is called Monochrome Mosque. This is a tongue twister. Kevin, I'm gonna throw this one at you. It's a little different.
Yeah, I'll jump in. It is a little different. It's right when it came up, it took me a minute to recognize what I was kind of seeing in the, with the foreground trees. Very, very low contrast is happening here. It's Trist or Triste or however you pronounce that is kind of the treatment here. It's actually a technique.
Right.
So some like it, some don't. I'm a little torn as to whether I like it on this particular image or not. It's growing on me a little bit. There's a couple little areas up here along in the sky, along the edges of the building that need to be revisited. I think just some hazing that's happening around the building, I think needs to be revisited to give a sharper edge.
Right.
The sky is very dark and it appears to be handled very well around these points here. So it kind of comes down to whether, the person that's viewing this image is going to like that technique, the Triste technique. It's growing on me in this image. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it, because you lose a lot of tonal range when you do that technique, but that's by design. That's by design.
I do like that technique. I'm just wondering if the sky color were in the same brown copper tone, that it might pull it off a little stronger, a little more better.
I think it might.
As opposed to the black. I don't object to the black, but I'm just wondering if the sky was in that same tonal range, because I really like what's happening down. Oops. Pick up the tool there, Jeffrey. Sorry. Oh, for crying out loud. Hold on, guys. There we go. So I love this tonal range. What this is, I think, is it pronounced thrist?
Maybe.
Is what I've heard. Anyway, whatever it is. But I like that. But I'm just wondering if the sky was of the same tones of that I think it might be, because I love the little bit of blacks in here. But if that sky was of that brown copper, bronzy copper, that might be really cool. I might pull this off.
Yeah.
But the
it would need to be a really dark brown, but not black. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if it was in the same tones as of the back side of the dome here, the shadow side of the dome, I think we would have something very cool, because I love the composition. I love the spires, how many we have coming in here throughout the whole scene, and the placement of it, the little bits of curves we have. Why can't I get the tools to work for me here? The little bits of round. Oh, for crying out loud, you guys. I'm faster than the tools are tonight. the little bits, elements of the round of the trees, even the round here is emulating the roundness of the domes. And then we have the spires. I just think this is done so well in composition and delivery that I'm thinking, again, that sky, if it was in that brown tone that followed through on the whole thing, I think it would be cool. Rick, anything you want to add to that?
Just one last thing, camera position. Okay, if we had our maker come over just a little bit to avoid the tangent lines where these spires are touching each other.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Good call,
Yeah.
Rick.
2
Good
feet.
call.
2
Yep.
feet to the right would have solved that, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Good catch.
Good stuff, you guys. Thank you. All right. Now we have Oceanside Mystique. Very interesting. Rick, you want to jump on this one first?
Yeah, obviously we're saying, okay, low contrast, we got flare coming in, almost a milkiness in the image. However, we do have really nice composition in terms of the horizon, you know, down in the third, little bit of framing going on up here. You know, I'm just questioning, you know, the contrast. Yeah, we have this flare and everything. Can we beef that contrast up just a little bit and then hopefully bring back some value in the darker areas? You know, this is a tough capture. I commend the maker because there's a vast tonal range and value, color range involved in this image.
Yeah.
Kevin, what you think?
Yeah, I almost think if you cropped off a pretty large chunk of this bottom section, you would eliminate some of what Rick was talking about, which would help. I'm really enjoying the softer contrast up in this top section. What catches my eye though are these two, and Jeff just moved it on me. Let me delete my drawings here.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yep. Let's go ahead and finish your crop there, Jeff. These light traps right here, that one and this little guy right there are really drawing my eye. And I like the rest of them because there's so many clustered together work, but these two that are kind of separated out, just I think you could clone those out of there and help eliminate that. But this to me is a much more comfortable crop.
I agree.
Actually, and I like this. I like the fact that this grass down here is nice and sharp and green and bright compared to the rest of the image. It brings a nice story to this location.
It's a very almost mysterious,
It is.
ominous feeling. Like I'm almost expecting what's going to pop out from the trees back here. Are we going to see a Bigfoot or a Sharknado or something? No, but to be serious, I think that there's a really great mood here. Very, like I said, ominous. And I do like the brilliance of the green. It just kind of tends to mess with the whole theme a little bit. You get the sun rays, or as my good friend Jeremy calls them, Jesus lines, the God rays coming through there that just really create a nice deep mood. And yet we have this greens that brings us almost back into a sense of grounding it. So very cool piece. Okay. Moving along nicely, we have, oh, you're going to love this one, guys. Patterns of Nature and Man.
Hello.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, please do.
Let me just take it in. Wow. That's a wow photo to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another one of those ones where there's no immediate subject matter with the exception of the entire thing. This is a wall hanger.
Yeah.
Just an enormous amount of triangular patterns happening here, literally everywhere. If I started drawing them all, then we would have nothing but red drawings on this. So You know,
Absolutely.
we have such good depth in certain sections here that are just behind, that separate these out. Just lovely. Just wow. There's not enough I can say about it. The good. I'm trying to find some areas that I could even want to eliminate. Maybe this little white dot here potentially. Now I'm really
That's what I was
nitpicking it.
looking at.
Maybe this little black corner edge right there. Just check your edges. Always check your edges. So those ones that are really close to the edges are the ones that you want to really focus on. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this.
All I can add is, and I think it's kind of interesting, is your, and I say this as a compliment, your stumbling for the right words says a lot, because this is just that powerful that it doesn't,
Yeah.
not much needs to be said about it. It's very strong.
Yeah.
The composition, it is about a, 2-to-1 ratio. Very strong. Even the matte color pulls in a nice, I mean, we got almost a black and white image going on here with a faint color, but the matte just pulls that out of the scene. The little bits of rocks, the gravel and such between the the fannules between the rock formations.
Can you zoom
Yeah.
it way out, Jeff, for a second?
Say that again.
Zoom it way out so it's kind of small, like really small. Yeah, okay. Okay.
What you looking for?
Yeah, what I do this a lot because it's good to back up on your image a little bit as if it
Right.
were hanging on a wall, because there's a little bit of a white area here and here that's catching me now.
I see.
But what I love is this main white sweeping line there. That's
Yeah.
the main. That's probably the main line in the photograph.
It almost
And then we
becomes a
have
focal
some-
point, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have some arrows coming up in here. So zooming way out allows you to see some of those other elements, but those little ones there and there could maybe be toned back a touch. But it's so hard to critique poorly an image that's so just strikingly good like this one is. This is a beautiful image. Well done to the maker.
Rick, thoughts?
No, just highlight, shadows, all those values captured perfectly.
Yeah, you're right though, Kevin. You say when I bring it back large like this, those areas aren't as imposing.
Right.
I do see them, but very, very cool. I'm gonna just do one more thing just because this is stuff I look at.
Just because you can.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? It opens up our entry, our left to right thought process.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't
That
it?
sure does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this would be my only suggestion, is consider this, because it does give us a little bit more of a welcome to the scene.
Yeah,
It
you
is-
have this entry right here on
Yeah.
that element, that main sweeping element now.
Yeah.
I
And
could
a
go
lot-
either way. We
Right.
read left to right, but I like it both ways. But I see what you're saying, Jeff, because it absolutely gives you this entry right there,
Yeah.
100%.
As does the bottom here.
Well, that's what I'm
Yep.
seeing, is it's a little bit more, a little less cluttered, I guess, maybe cluttered isn't the right word, but a little less busy. So it's more of a welcoming, open area to come into it. And then you start getting into all of the lines and patterns. And then I think then we get into this ridge you pointed out earlier, Kevin, that and these two lines really pull us strongly into the scene, where it's almost a little busier in this area, which I don't know, it's kind of like it's starting slow and then building up speed as we come through it, if you will.
It's almost one of those ones that when you flip it like that, you have to walk out of the room and come back and look at it without, because doing it immediately, it wasn't as striking, but the longer I look at it this way, the more I'm liking it.
That's a real good point. I do that a lot. If I'm going to alter something like that, flipping it, changing the, maybe the ratio of a crop or something, I will get up and walk away for a while and let my brain forget it. Of course, nowadays, the older I get, I'm out of the room less because I can stand up. I can stand up and it's gone.
Yeah.
All right. Very good job. I like this one. Again, this one should I think should do well in a competition just almost as it is. All right, then we have one called Princess Lawrence. Rick, I'm gonna throw this one at you.
Okay. Nice lighting, and this is you know, a situation where we might want to have the subject turn her head just a little bit camera left, you know, a little bit more into the light, but it's a nice sculpting light on her face. We've got actually a full facial view, you know, just to kind of come back on how we were brought up, you know, the full facial view. There were three classic views of the face: full facial view, two-third view, and then a profile. So I would consider this a full facial view that was lit really well. The light was, you know, we used to call it controlling the light. So we didn't have a whole lot of fall off on the hand. Unfortunately for me, I would like to see a little bit more light on the hands, because we have, you know, these gloves that are really kind of in the grayish cyan tones that really are a contrast to the, let's see here, you know, to the warm tones of the face, and even, you know, this cyan grayish look that's in contrast to the whole color palette, which is very, very warm. You know, and we look at the background, and I think the background rendition is handled very, very well. You know, we have the element in the background, that so we don't have just that solid background across. It gives us just a little bit of a relief that we can look out of and then come back into. But my major concern really is the rendition of the color on the hands. And then it just feels like, you know, there's an overall treatment to the image, and it's very, very strong, especially between the fingers of the gloves on the image. But really nice lighting. The eyes might be just a tad overworked, because the whites are really, you know, they can tend to jump out a lot. So, but again, nice composition. You know, we've got a real nice diagonal. We've got a real nice diagonal leading up to the face from her arm. Beautiful color harmony. This is my main concern right here, is are the hands.
Ricky, real quick, as a portrait juror, tell me about the hand pose. I'm feeling that camera right hand is a little awkward. That might not.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it's a good point, Jeffy, because what happens here is we're kind of cutting off the hands, the fingers of the hand. And something, maybe if she were to brought her hand over the top of the hand, that would do two things. It would make a more graceful look of this hand, and it would also cover about half of the back of her hand, so that we don't see such a mass of her hand, you know, in this area here, because we're seeing quite a bit of the back of the hand. But if this, as I say, if this hand were to be brought up and placed over there, and let the fingers relax, the wrist bend down, and just, yeah, you know, portrait people, we've heard it a million times, but it's always worth hearing it again. When it comes to posturing a subject, if it bends, bend it. You know, we've heard that from the great Big Daddy Don Blair.
Exactly. Hey, Kevin, anything you want to add?
I'm not sure what else I could potentially add. You know, Rick covered it so well. I'm really enjoying this background lighting back here on the backdrop. That's really pretty. I am a little bit bothered here by the sleeve, or the glove needs to cover this section of skin, or that section of skin needs light on it. It's feels awkward to me down here in that area right there.
Right.
But yeah, I think Rick covered everything that needs to be covered as for a portrait that I don't know a lot about.
All right, no worries.
Yeah.
Moving along, because we got a bunch more, so I'm just trying to keep us going here. This one is called Ranch Life. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this story. She's you know, the title really drives it home as to what she does. You know, I'm enjoying these, you know, her big work gloves here, holding this really strong element down here that's just well framed, good composition here. I think overall the composition is lovely. Really love the light on the bottom of the brim here of her hat, as well as on the top. And I love the fall off of the light. It just falls into shadow here, just all along the back of her arm and everything. Really loving this. And the title is lovely. And I love the fact that the maker had this composition here with this the stud that she's leaning up against, this 2x4 or whatever. It's kind of the entrance of a door, it feels like. Very cool. Very cool. And the presentation, I think, is well done on it too.
Yeah, it is. Rick, what do you think?
Can you zoom in just a little bit, Jeffy?
Sure, hang on.
I'm kind of looking more into her eyes, whatever we can do. Okay.
More like that?
Yeah, that's fine. I agree. We've got really good, strong directional lighting, and I'm convinced that this is totally available light. I think what would really have benefited this image is a reflector. You know, if we'd have had a reflector coming in from camera, just on the side of camera left, or actually you can, depending on the angle that light is coming in, and if you can garner it from the doorway or whatever she's behind, just to fill those shadows a little bit more, because we have really strong directional light. If it was, you know, Riff from Yellowstone, yeah, you know, that lighting ratio I think would be handled well. And I understand, you know, we've got this strong character of a cowgirl, but I feel that if we'd have had a little bit of a fill, and I think we could have captured some get my deal here, you know, light coming in, camera right, and we have a reflector somewhere in you know, either this position to capture the reflection, bounce back into the shadows, then I think we'd have had a little more detail here and a softer shadow rendition on the face. This gal is experienced, man. You can tell it in her face and in her eyes. I'm just suggesting that if we had that reflector that I'm talking about, these shadow areas would be opened up just a little bit, and we don't have quite the void that we have now.
The other thing I'll just throw in there real quick, and again, it's a very well done portrait, but boy, if the eyes were just pulled back just a little bit this direction, we wouldn't have, and the whites are kind of being a little more prominent than the color of the other pupils of the eye. Really minor point, but a lot of times we have the eyes following the nose direction we're going to get, because sometimes we turn that face. I like that the nose does not break the cheek line, but then the eyes are going farther this way, and the whites become more prominent than the pupil of the eye. So minor thing, but that's just something to consider. Okay, good talk.
Before you go to the next one, we have can you go back to the previous one? We have a quick
Sure.
question on that one.
This Ranch Life one again?
No, the one before, the lady on the couch there.
Sure can. That one there.
Okay, Christine asked, would you consider cropping out the hands and going really tight if you couldn't change the hand placement?
I don't know. Let's try that.
Good call, Christine. Maybe.
Anything different there?
Yeah, we're just a little bit hunched. A little bit hunched up here.
As far as the pose or my crop?
No, the pose. You know, and maybe we should have dressed that in the original, but maybe relaxing the shoulder just a little bit more, because you understand. I don't know if I'm making my point. It just seems like it's just
like her back is curved. He's bringing that that left shoulder forward, so it's curving the, I know what you mean, yeah.
And I get what you're saying, Christine. Yeah, the triangle composition, yeah, it's a nice triangle composition. And yeah, there's some value to that. I'm just a little concerned about how kind of to the point what Kevin was making a little while ago, when you back up, you see things a little more. But in this case, when we crop up,
Crop up, okay.
you know, you understand what I'm saying, how angular this line is,
Well, yeah, and you've got, let me
and
try.
how sloped and how,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is a nice, a softer angle. This is very, very cute. So if this elbow was out this way a little bit more, so the line was more like this, it would be a lot stronger base,
right.
a lot softer base.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good call.
Good stuff, you guys. All right.
I don't know about you, Kevin and Jeffy, but every time we do this, man, it's a learning process for me, because I really get a lot out of it.
Oh, absolutely. I think this definitely gives us just a different perspective from other people's point of view that lets us look at what they're seeing to talk more about things. And I forgot the title. This one's called Shade Tree. Let me give it a little more of a size. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Cool, super cool composition and idea. You know, with this peak that's happening here, and then the tree kind of centered beneath, really cool. And because that background mountain cliff wall is so brightly lit, the silhouette that's happening in this tree in the foreground is a really cool concept. Like the way that's done. I am a little, Jeff, you would have to let me know if you're seeing it super muddy down here. I'm not sure what's happening in that section.
I think I think the blacks, I mean, the tree looks black, but I think the ground and the sky are a little muddy in the blacks.
All right, that's what I was seeing
Actually,
too.
looks a little blotchy to me too.
Blotchy,
Well,
yeah, that's what I was seeing.
And I think the blotchy is because of the shapes of, let me get my little tool here.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of a hollow underneath the ground cover. So these are shadows.
So the foreground is not in total silhouette, is what happened.
Right.
Exactly.
There's a small tree right here, and there's a little bit of a hollow in the bushes there. So I think that's what you're seeing, why it's looking like a not solid black.
So I feel almost like it could be a stronger, like it needs to almost be, the foreground needs to almost be in full silhouette, I believe, to really drive this, to really bring this home. This is a really strong shadow area there that I think I would handle or clone out or crop out or something. My eye keeps going to that location. I love this concept of having this silhouette tree beneath that peak in the background. So that's a really cool concept.
You got some strong.
Jeff, you could almost crop almost all the way up into the base of that tree, potentially from the bottom, and help eliminate some of that. Let me just take a peek at that.
Let me do this. I'm going to pull up the. Let me give us a. Let's go.
Drop the blacks.
Pull up a levels palette here, and I can.
Yeah. Yes. Just the blacks, though.
Pull back the whites a little bit on the mountain here. And I cropped it in a little bit. Just this is kind of a composition where this tree is so strong and semicircular that I would almost have balanced the distance between the tree and the right and left sides of the image, and then cutting down a little bit of the sky really makes the tree and that mountain just really pop out even stronger. And then taking that down, because we do have a silhouette. Let's let that ground be a silhouette. Matter of fact, let me even do something like this. I'll just take the black eyedropper in the levels palette and just click on it, and that flattens it out quite a bit. But that's going to bring us a little bit of a black and bring some contrast back in it. So we've got basically almost a line drawing here.
Yeah.
And I think that makes that even. Say it with me now, more better.
More better. I think it's a little crunchy, you know, it would need some love on that, but I
Yeah.
think that's the right direction, Jeff, that you've gone to. And even when you just jump back to that, now all of a sudden it's feeling even more flat than what it was originally when I saw it. So
Yeah.
the comparison between those two, yeah, I think that background cliff wall works a lot better with that level of contrast, and the tree and foreground do need to be in full silhouette.
And I think it's almost a line drawing, if you will,
Yeah.
kind of a pencil sketch almost. And I think that, and maybe it's a little bit, well, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit harsh. It's a little bit bright on the left over here, but now the tree really, that shape of the tree really stands out in comparison with the rock formation. You can see when you do things like that, what the difference is. Again, not that we want to apologize, but it's not a right or a wrong thing, just to show you what the difference can be from just simple things like a little push in the contrast or changing the crop. Rick, anything you want to add?
No.
Oh, okay. I guess we got that answer, huh?
No.
We've gone a
Good.
long time without a joke. You got any jokes for us, Rick, over this moment? Otherwise, we'll go into Shadows of Winter.
This looks like a Jeff Johnson almost.
All right, well, I'll say something about it. Yeah, a very striking piece. A lot of wonderful vertical lines of the trees, the shadows, the highlights in the trees, and then we have the contrasting horizontal lines of shadows, which is very interesting. Not often seen like this in the out in the wild, because the trees are so thick that you have that possibility. When this first came up, my first thought is I would have maybe cropped up the bottom, but when you have this title of Shadows of Winter, I think, man, I don't know, that definitely it works for the title and the story. Kevin, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to see a little more tonal range through this.
Yeah.
I love the composition. I like this hallway that's being presented right here. That's the only hallway you can see in all of this whole frame, really, which is kind of cool. This feels almost like these shadows have been like linear blurred or linear like dragged out in post. But I'm not sure there. I do like, did you just add some contrast, Jeff?
I did.
Yeah, that's feeling a little bit better now. Yeah, that's more in line with where I would want to see it,
Before and
that
after.
additional contrast.
Just a little bit more punch, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that feels better. This is again one of those scenes where there's no clear subject matter, but just you know, the entire scene. I would maybe consider eliminating these little guys right there. You know, cleaning those up. But really enjoying this scene overall.
So what if I crop up, because we still have the feeling of those lines in the snow.
Yeah, that feels good.
Still tells the story. What I like about this, oops,
That's
is
above the fireplace in a log cabin.
Oh, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But whoops, wrong way, Jeff. What I see is this little opening you were talking about, Kevin, here on the
Yeah.
right. That really stands out now more with this crop, because those white lines at the bottom of the scene of before that were stopping us from going into the scene
Yeah,
more.
they sure were, weren't they? Because
More
now you
inviting.
have this bright section where this hallway leads right into this little bright hole back there, which is very intriguing.
Yeah. And then little things like these areas here and here and here, I would maybe tone those back just ever so slight,
Mhm.
so that this becomes, and actually I would even, you could even lighten this area just a tiny bit more, very, very subtly. I mean, I'm talking a quarter of a stop, if you will, so that this
Mhm.
becomes even more inviting than these other spots here.
Yeah. But what you did with the contrast, Jeff, really brings the tonality, the tonal range, all into play now, much better, I think. All the tonalities are represented much better. Yeah. Yep.
Subtle, but it
Look
does
at the
make a
trunk
difference.
but even the trunks of the trees where they meet the snow, or whatever they're in there. Yeah, it looks like that. Is much more striking. It really pops them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Got a few
If I
more
had a
to
log
go.
cabin, I would hang it above my fireplace.
There you go. This one is called Sister Jane Devoted. Let me get rid of the crop tool there. Rick, I'm gonna throw this one at you if I get rid of the dang crop tool. Come on, work with me here. How weird. Only when I need to. Ricky, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, nice composition. I probably would come up just a tad from the bottom to pull her down just a little bit, and that would still give us the information that we need, you know, as far as the railing of the pew. You know, gosh, such neat character. You know, we talked a minute ago about the angle of the eye and maybe looking into a little bit more of the white of the eyes. Is it an issue in this situation? I'm not so sure. I really do like the lighting and the way the lighting masked her face. You know, we've got those five, very good, thank you. We've got those 5 planes that we want to light: the forehead, each cheek, the bridge of the nose, and then the chin, you know, and that's what we consider the mask of the face, and it's really handled very, very well. Gosh, you know, you see the character in the face with the fall off of light. You know, if we can open the shadow a little bit, that would be okay. And on the top where the windows are, I think we could tone those down just so they don't command too much attention. But we got to be careful when we do the toning down that it doesn't go into a muddy look. But I'm trying to, yeah, she's sitting in the pew. And, you know, usually there are kneelers there too. Now, if this is a portrait that was set up, or, you know, I don't know if it was something that the maker set up as a portrait or if it was a capture kind of a reportage type thing. But if we were in a situation where we had a little bit more control, and if there is a kneeler behind this railing, gosh, it would be so cool to have her be on the kneeler and her arms up along the
Oh,
the
yeah.
so, and again, I'm not real sure of what the circumstances are here, so I'm just making suggestions, you know, what if type suggestions. So, but I would definitely come up a little bit from the bottom, as I say, just to pull her down just a little further in the composition. Hopefully we can open up a little bit of the darker areas here, but in terms of storytelling and lighting, very well done.
Kevin, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm with you, Rick. I'm liking the crop choice here at the bottom that you've pointed out. I think that would still maintain the story that you were talking about, the fact that she is at a pew here. I'm really enjoying the aperture choice that the photographer chose to use here, because the depth of field fall off is just really nice from this edge of the pew, and then it just falls off in softness as we go back, which is really well done. It gives her nice separation from the background. Not only the contrast, but the depth of field is well taken care of. I would rather not see this particular window here. I think it throws the balance out. I like this one because we have this balance here. But the other one just kind of draws my eye up there. So if the it looks like there's almost a wall here or something. So if the photographer was able to step a little bit to the left, that would move that wall, of course, over and block that window. But I don't know what the situation was like there, what the environment was like, and maybe that's not possible. And that, yeah, that particular
does that
one
bother you
there,
there?
yeah, that one could maybe go away too, you know, and that could be handled in post. But this is looks like more of a reportage type of photograph, and so sometimes those elements are just there, and that's what it is. But I'm enjoying the depth of field choice more than anything.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Very good, guys. Thank you. Let's see what else we have here. We have Soulmate. We obviously have an artist's rendition here with some composition of excuse me, composition of backgrounds and some painting and such. And it's first of all, at first glance, it's very well done, combining the three elements here and making them look like it's all one scene. The intensity of the eyes is quite intriguing. It's definitely pulling us in. We feel the interaction between the two owls here. A little bit of scene in the background just kind of gives us some depth. So I like that a lot. Good control. We get a nice uniform look in the brush technique throughout the whole scene. That's nicely done, the display. Maybe the black minor thing, but maybe this heavier black lip is maybe a little much. I mean, we get a thinner key line. I don't even know if this is necessary. Again, minor point, but it is catching my eye unnecessarily. Kevin, what do you think? I know this is not
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
your alley,
That black key line was kind of hit me here. Again, look at this power of 1, 2, and 3.
yeah,
Telling you the power of 3 exists, and when you can utilize it, do it. This is a very painterly image, and I think it's handled quite well. I like that I can see all the elements that they've used in the bottom here, which is, I think, mandatory for PPA when you're doing this types
Right.
of competition. So that's cool to see that. I'm enjoying this. Yeah. Rick, anything?
No, I was just looking at the reference images, and I like to see where we started and where we landed. And I think the compositing is done well. I think the artwork is done really well, especially in the eyes and beaks of the birds. So, well done.
Yeah, very well done. Okay.
Jeff,
Yes.
can I jump in? This is mine.
Yes, sir.
How about the contact shadow on the feet, and also on the bird's left side of the bird, the shadow, contact shadow on the middle of that between two birds? Is
Yeah,
that
I'm just looking
necessary?
I'm seeing. I'm gonna do the thing that doesn't happen in competition, but since we're doing that,
Right.
yeah, when you bring it to the attention, I'm thinking. Let me get my little annotator. I'm thinking maybe there could be just a little more shadow. This is good. Maybe a little more there. I think it's good. Maybe a little more underneath here, but I think this is good. Rick, what do you think?
Did we lose Rick?
I don't know.
I think he took a bathroom break.
Okay.
All right, Kevin, do you have any thoughts on that comment?
The only thing that I was seeing was it looks like there's a void or something here. I'm not sure, Jeff, what you're seeing on your end, but it's almost like that talon is not in. Not sure what is that, a feather there that I'm seeing? That's what that
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see that now.
Oops.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I think, Jeff, I think you covered it.
Okay. Does that answer your question? I did pretty good. Okay. Stop. I always set a timer for the show and I wasn't paying attention to it.
Excuse me.
Okay. We now have Saint Vladimir. Vladimir. I think I've said that properly, but Vladimir. Yeah, if not, so what? Just kidding.
Guess whose alley this is?
Yeah, Kevin, we're behind you on this alley. Go ahead.
Okay. Yep. I'll jump in. You've heard me mention already many times about verticals, and obviously when you're standing beneath a building, you have to embrace the lean, if you will. So this lean, we have to just embrace that. And I think this is handled well in that regard. It looks like there's some, obviously this is at night and there's lights that are lighting these crosses here at the top. So we have that glow that's happening up into this, probably a foggy evening. So that's what's happening there. And I kind of like it. It's a little heavy here, this darkness here on that side. I don't necessarily mind it so much over here, but right on that left, it's a little heavy feeling. And I feel like this element, this bright element at the lower left edge is really pulling me down out of where I think the maker wants us to go, which is more at the top, really.
Right.
So the tonal range, it's very, very contrasty. Because it is a night capture that's being lit by the lights that are illuminating all the windows on this building, on this structure. Yeah, and I think again maybe this one down here is a little bit pulls my eye down out of frame. But because of when it was captured, I'm not sure what can be handled there other than a different composition entirely.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique look, and I don't mind the falling image, as you will, just because of the whole concept of it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have to say that this doorway in the bottom, or this light in the bottom left, keeps pulling me away from if that was just a shadow like the rest of the building above it, I'd be fine with that, because there is quite a neat story here and an interesting feeling. You can almost feel the mist in the air and the nighttime feeling. I like the square capture. So that was done well. Rick, anything you want to add?
No, this is one of these images that you either really go for or, just isn't ringing your bell. Personally, I like it. I like the strong contrast. I like the heavy shadows. I like the keystoning of the building. It's just so non-traditional as an architectural image, and just one of those images you either really enjoy or it just doesn't do it for you.
Yeah, the lean is like I said, when you stand beneath a building, you there's no way to straighten the vertical. So at that point, you have to embrace this lean, and I think they did that quite well. Watch this edge element there. I just noticed that one.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff, like I agree with you. I think if this was like not in there at all, like if they could even clone that, clone some of this all the way down into that. I love this one. Really like that one. That's nice. Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, and I almost don't you get the feeling there's a moisture in the air. I don't know. There's also something up here at the top just to address whatever's coming in the corner there. But I like this feeling. It looks like there's lights on the top of the building that are lighting up these crosses, and it just kind of gives us a very dramatic, with the moisture in the air kind of feeling. So I think it's very, very well done. It's a unique piece, and for competition, it's one of those that it's gonna shoot through the roof or it's gonna bomb, and that's just depends on the panel you get. Depends on who's sitting there. How many times we've heard that story that you get the right panel. I wish we could choose our judges, but sometimes you can't. So we've got 7 more images to go tonight. So we're going just a little bit long. So hope everybody's fine with that. We got some great conversation going, but moving right along, we have Sunrise March.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, please.
First thing I want to point out here is well handled on this matte color. It's because it's not white, so it's but it looks white. So that's good job on that. So it doesn't overwhelm, I think. I'm really liking this atmosphere a lot. It's again no clear subject matter. The entire frame is the subject of this. I think I love the haze and the light that's coming in through here, the backlighting. So the cows in the foreground are all silhouetted. There's a lot of them too, it looks like, marching through here, well titled. I would look at maybe eliminating that little hit right there, those 2 little hits. I think kind of pull my eye into that, but the other ones up here are just fine. I don't know. Would you crop in here, Jeff? I mean, I don't know. Would that be then this cow's right on the edge, so I don't think so. But this little limb is so close to the edge. I don't know if it bothers me or not.
No, I don't think it does. I kind of
Okay.
like, we've got this motion. Oops, I lost the tool there.
Mhm.
We got this motion of the
Yeah.
animals going through the scene this direction. And this almost kind of corrals your eye and points you to come back and do it again.
It
So
does, doesn't
I
it?
don't like that. One thing that does catch, I'm wondering, and I'll ask you, Kevin, what do you think of this branch at the top up here? I think I might crop right below that.
Crop in, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good catch there, Jeff. Yeah, I would probably crop in too.
Just keeps
Mhm.
pulling my eye back into
Mhm.
up to that corner. It doesn't give me anything to look at once I go up there. It's just there. But
Yeah, and in fact, if you cropped below that, you would eliminate some of these little catches there that are up there as well. So that's a good catch. So some of these little guys, are just kind of those little annoyances that happen in trees, and you can either embrace them or eliminate them. And I think these could very easily be eliminated in that crop choice that you're talking
let's
about, Jeff.
just
Is
see.
pretty good.
Yeah, the other thing is that then I have to kind of bring it down to here.
Yeah, you got to come below that limb entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky, what do you want to add? Anything?
I was looking at a crop right about like this. Wow,
I know
that's
where
a
you're going.
straight line.
Yeah.
And eliminate all the.
Eliminate the sky entirely.
There you go. Oh, a little higher. There you go.
I definitely, the only thing then is I would get rid of this hot spot too.
Right.
Kevin was talking about these and these.
Because I like the framing effect that we have here.
That's actually
Rick,
really
that's a good
cool.
call. That's nice.
That's really
Yeah.
nice.
That
Because
looks
it really
good,
brings
Rick.
your eye.
Coming in from the right, as far as a crop.
Mm.
So, we'd have this bit here.
Mhm.
Like that?
Something along that line, yeah. And then probably take this guy out if we have that crop. I really like the atmospheric thing going on here.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's real cool. This is a good crop, Rick. Good call.
Oops, wrong way, Jeff. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think either one. As I go back to this one, I still kind of like this, and even though I like this guy here. Let me get my little painter tool here. I don't mind this guy right here. I'd maybe eliminate this bunch right at the edge, but I just really like this branch a lot. And let them, come in here, and this is the lead. But hey, that's why we have all these different people putting their 2 cents in. Wonderful compliment from Christine. Thank you, Christine. She says we're doing a wonderful job. She likes it, so that's cool. Good to hear. All right.
Thank you, Christine.
A few left here. We now have Sweet Welcome. Rick, I'm gonna throw this one your way. Some
Yeah, man,
photos
that's a treasure. I'm gonna, say, okay, we're talking reportage.
Yeah.
Man, but such wonderful tonal range in this image. I really like the story that's being told. What was that title again, Jeffy?
Sweet Hello.
Huh. And how a person can be so positive and have
Sweet Welcome.
Okay.
Sorry.
Even better.
When it's correct.
Yeah. How she can have such a vivaciousness and a joy in her face and in her expression, and yet her surroundings are anything but that would support that. And for me, message-wise, storytelling, doesn't it just make you count your own blessings, man, and what we have? And having said that, the posturing, the foot up, just great. I see a really great tonal range here. you guys help me with this one in terms of the mat. I would maybe want to see it down just a little bit more because there's so much going on in this beautiful child's face that I just don't want to be drawn out of the image.
So, well, I'm sorry, I missed part of it. What down more? The image crop down more, or
no,
No,
I'm
I
sorry,
think
the mat. Should we go more
brightness?
toward the grayer value?
Gotcha. Okay.
And
yeah,
yes,
Rick,
Christine, and
I
yes,
caught that
Christine,
right away.
yeah, and yes, Christine, we can crop in reportage. But man, and you know, I guess it could be argued, you know, well, it's a bullseye composition. Why don't we crop from the right to pull her over a little bit more? There's still enough information there on the camera left, but I really like this composition. And you know, most of us are generally not fans of bullseye composition, but this one really works for me. I mean, the whole story is there. Whatever you guys think.
That works too. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Rick nailed it with the matte border being it's a pretty bright white, maybe full bright white. Jeff, if you took the eyedropper and clicked on that, I bet it would give you all.
I don't
it's
think
pure
it
white.
is, but
Yeah,
it's
it's pretty bright. And I think the other thing that makes the matte look so bright is the fact that there's not quite the tonal range in this image that I would like to see. I'd like to see a little more some of these wider areas be a little brighter white, so a little more contrast throughout the entire global image, I think would help add to this. But to Rick's point, I love the storytelling aspect of this a lot, and I like all of the elements that are in the image that really help tell this story of where this girl lives, the environment that she lives in. But I would like to see a little bit more tonal range through this
more like
image.
this, Kevin.
Jeff, was that just a
Yes.
contrast adjustment?
All I did was take a levels
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
Can you do that in reportage?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can adjust contrast and density, brightness,
Dodge and burn.
dodge and burn. Yeah.
Yeah. So that feels a lot better now to me, Jeff, quite a bit.
We're getting a couple questions I'm seeing, aren't we, Cliff, about the mat? You're muted, Cliffy.
So maybe a black mat, and then
I was just waiting for to get a word in, but yeah.
Oh.
there-
Well, not with this trio.
Just step
know,
on
it's
us,
tough.
Cliff. Just step on us.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Cliff.
So Christine says she was thinking maybe a darker gray or a paler gray key line.
The mat itself being a darker gray, like a charcoal gray, that could potentially work. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good story though, isn't it? A wonderful connection with the subject, and
I can see this doing well in competition.
you know, when I cropped it before, I brought it in like this just to play off that right side a little bit more, to put her a little off center, and that works. But I do like the full scene with all the stuff, all the junk, her life around her.
I
think
prefer this crop.
it makes her a little smaller in the story. It makes her, it makes you pay
Yep.
attention to what she lives in a little bit more.
Yep. I prefer this crop a lot, even though like Rick said, you know, we sometimes say no bullseye, but you know, sometimes it works. And I think it
Right.
works here.
And we've talked about that many times. The bullseye thing, I kind of think, has gotten to be a PPA standard of not to do. Whereas if you look at the rest of the world, there's an awful lot of bullseye stuff, and I think it's just different points of view. And I think this works here. So,
Well, this is mine, and I'm really, really thankful for your suggestions. So I appreciate it.
Who's mine?
Christina.
Oh, really,
so
Christina?
we don't see her for a while, then
Good
she comes
job.
back and blows us all away.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Thanks a lot, Christina. Thanks a lot.
I thought you'd
It's-
appreciate the square crop, Kevin. I mean,
I
you're
love the square
square crop.
crop, actually. Absolutely. Yep.
Part of
I do
Kansas, what is
appreciate
this?
Yeah, good job.
appreciate
No,
it.
this is
Yep.
this is when I was in Ethiopia when I got scratched by the monkey.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh,
oh,
goodness.
that damn monkey.
No, that effing monkey.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
You heard it here first on the Image Critique Show. Too funny. Yeah, this is beautiful.
Well done, Christina.
All right.
Well done.
Next we have, oops, everything's disappeared. Hold on, I lost my. There we go. We have tending the nets. Kev, what do you think?
Yeah. Pretty cool. Again, power of three with 3 people here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I seeing a lot of digital noise here, Jeff, in this photograph? Or is there an effect that's been applied?
Kind
of a treatment.
A treatment, yeah.
Let me just give it a
Okay,
little.
that's what it is. It's like a painterly treatment that's been done to it. Yeah. I'm really liking the composition here, and this gentleman's yellow shirt really draws us into that guy for sure.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. You know, there's a haze in the background that's kind of drawing my eye up there, and I'm not sure that the treatment is working for me very well. I'm liking the composition. I like the environment. I like the fact that these guys are all working, and I'm kind of like this element here that kind of balances these guys out a little bit. And I think the background is important to have, but I think it's lost in the treatment.
I agree, Kevin. I think there's a lot of power in this image, storytelling, composition. You know, the 3 subjects that you talked about, balanced by the birds in the back. But yeah, unfortunately for me, I just don't think the treatment itself is helping the image.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at this larger like this, I'm wondering if maybe it's just a bit over sharpened. I'm just kind of getting that almost that HDR feeling in the jeans there and the green of this pants there, maybe just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But
I
what a
do
wonderful-
like that the yellow shirt is so much. I do like that concept, that idea. I just think it's just needs to be handled a little bit more subtly. Yeah.
Okay, it's me again.
Okay, me.
Okay, it's Christina. All right, so it is a haze in the back. That isn't a treatment, and I did run it through Photo AI, and it was too sharp. But what I have done since is I brought the grass down a little bit, and like I did a contrast and brightness layer, and I kind of pulled the contrast out there, but they are still a little sharp. But I was thinking about doing it black and white, and I couldn't decide. So I don't know what you guys think. I mean, there's so much story with all their colors and everything's kind of mismatched, but you've got the yellow, and then over on the right, you've got the blue. So that's complementary. And I don't know how much is lost black and white.
I feel that it will work very well in black and white, quite frankly, and what Jeff's doing here to bring the yellows up to brighten his shirt back up to where it was, so it's standing out like that kind of. Yeah. And what's happening here is really beautiful, because this foreground element that I think is an important element to have in the frame really starts to come out as well in that. And obviously, a lot of nastiness is starting to happen in this background here. So potentially that's something that you just crop in instead,
Yeah.
Guys, what do you think of this technique? I've done this a few times on landscapes, is to add a Gaussian blur to the background, maybe from this bit of water here.
Sometimes it can work, Jeff. Yeah, absolutely.
Just ever so slight, so slight. So you lose some of these details here, but you don't want to lose the fact that it's a mountain, and this has just become a big gray nothing. So it'd be, somewhere, yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah. But I really like what happened here with when the contrast came out here, the tonal range from this element in the foreground, this net of just everything, and then with his shirt still popping a lot like that. I think this image has a lot of potential in black and white. And frankly, I think it has more potential in black and white than color.
Yep, I think I agree with that too. Sorry, Christina.
No, that's fine. I have both of them. So I just put in the color just so that you could take it apart. So
Right.
thank you.
Absolutely. All right. We just got a couple more images here, so let's close that out and go with The Hill is Weeping. Interesting title for a landscape. I like that. I like the panel feel here of this these little waterfalls. It gets a lot of depth in it from the main waterfall across the front here off the stone into the water, and then the few little trickles coming out of the hillside behind that. It gives us some nice depth. Color harmony is very nice with between the water and the yellow of the ground cover. I think the black mat works well here and the little bit of the blue. And I think what we're just seeing is that this outside key line is just a outline of the canvas in Photoshop. So I don't think that's a key line. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm liking this. I like the crop choice on this a lot because we have this whole waterfall section here. This is our main waterfall, however, over to the far right, and it's getting cut off here, and I wish I could see more of that. I don't want to see necessarily this little guy here on the far left, but I want to see a lot more of this one on the far right.
True.
So if the photographer had panned over a little bit, so we're in a composition that's more kind of in this ballpark, and then that amount of section more to the right would be how I would want to see that, I think, a little bit better. But I love the pano aspect of it, and I love that these are all coming out of nothingness almost. That's really very cool. But I do want to see more of this waterfall over to the far right.
Rick, thoughts?
Yeah. When relative, you're right, Kevin. In my opinion, relative to, I got to do my little deal here. This is so cool. That's what's going on here, and relative to everything else that's happening here, it's only commanding a small part of the viewer's attention, in my opinion. I guess, you guys, what do you think? It's in terms of the shutter speed, could we have gone just a little longer on the shutter speed? And then what we've been talking about, the black and white thing, but I'm just wondering if we couldn't get just a little more of the angel hair look in the falls.
So we're pretty maximized on effect on the water falling. That's pretty maximized. So a longer shutter is not going to give you much more at all, if any, on this falling water, Rick. What it would do, however, is it would soften some of the water that's down here and drag it out some more. So yes, in that case, that would probably benefit this photograph a little bit. Some of these elements down here would be benefited by that, but the falling water is maximized, the effect of that. So yeah, I think potentially a little bit longer shutter. This is probably about a 1 second exposure, maybe, would be my guess.
Well, and that leads me to my next question for you experts. Time of day.
It's 25 to 9. I think that this feels like a very overcast situation right now, which I think a lot of times is what we kind of prefer. It's not bright sunny skies, which I think would really blow out a lot more of this. You wouldn't have that blue in the water, and you wouldn't have that red in the rocks if we had bright sunshine.
Well, and I'm not so much suggesting middle of the day or anything like that, but earlier or very earlier in the day or very later.
Yeah, that could definitely help. But just, don't you kind of get that feel, Kevin? This is more middle of a day with an overcast sky.
I do, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
and
when
that prompted my question, you know, if
Yeah.
there would have been a more optimal time of day to make the capture.
I don't know if I fully agree with that or not. I tend to like really overcast days, especially for doing waterfall work like this, because the falling water gets just unwieldy if you have too much light on it. But the golden hour, I see what you're saying, Rick. If it were golden hour, that could potentially help that.
The cloudy sky also gives you light underneath the water all across that
Yeah.
front wall.
That's true.
You know, if you were in more harsher sunlight, you might get some shadow in there and lose some of that.
Yeah.
And just because we are contractually obligated to show black and white.
Since I'm on the show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or we lose all of our 100,000 sponsors.
We lose
Yeah.
all our gold stamps.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I've seen sometimes people take two exposures here, like this one to get your falling water nicely smooth, and then maybe a longer shot to get that pool in front smooth, and then blend them and brush in and out some of the effects.
You can do that. You can do that, Phil, for sure. But the thing of it is the falling water. If you want the falling water to be, you know, that cotton candy look, you can just go ahead and do a longer exposure to get the. So at that point, all you're doing is making the length of exposure to get the pool in front how you want it, because the falling water is not going to change. It's maximized its effect, and it's not going to get any different, better, or worse from that point forward.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So once the waterfall gets to where it is right now, a longer exposure is not going to affect it anymore, one way or the other. It's going to remain the same. Yeah.
Any thoughts on cropping, or I'm sorry, composition? This is the regular. This is unleaded here.
I like the first version better.
I do too.
Yeah, I would just want to have more of that waterfall on the right. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. That would be.
Yeah.
So is Phil, I'm taking this as yours. Do you have more waterfall on the right?
No, it's not mine.
And I like this version too, because we've got this diagonal line that leads into the image.
True.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I agree with Kevin though, that little white on the left side, right on the edge of the mat.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yeah, I would definitely eliminate that. Yeah, even cropping or just taking it out, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, gang.
Cool.
All right. We have just a couple more here, so let's zip through those and then we can chat. And we have Time Carved Beauty.
Jeff, this is all you. I'll let you jump in. This is right up your alley.
Well, it's a gorgeous time of the morning, and to have that beautiful sunrise and just eclipsing the horizon. And of course, the warmth of it on the rocks is so beautiful. And a lot of times you don't have that sky to go with it, and that's really cool. My first thought when I saw this was, I'm just going to play here with the crop tool and just maybe I'd do something like this.
Yeah, this is actually me. And I cropped up from the bottom too a little bit. I have another version that I got rid of most of that sky.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know, we can go. But again, like I was saying earlier, is that we get these beautiful skies, and sometimes, okay, what's the more prominent part? What are we really trying to say here? Is it more about the rocks? So the sky still, matter of fact, to me, the sky is even this big blue area in the upper right takes away from it. This brings us back down into the rocks, and the color of the sky that we're seeing really helps support the whole scene more and lets the rocks stand out, I think, a little more.
Yeah, I actually cropped up a little farther from the bottom to get rid of that rock on the right.
Even more?
Right. Yeah. That little curved. Yeah, like right there.
Actually, this works well because then you notice the line from the left corner comes in that way too and brings us in. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Jeff, and as soon as you cropped out that void in the sky, sometimes the sky would be nice if the clouds were playing nicely that day. But as soon as you eliminated that section, what that allowed me to see more was this.
Right,
Sorry,
exactly.
Stop, Jeff, stop. Go back to that. Stay there.
My finger
Stay
got
there, damn it.
stuck.
That allowed me to see this a lot better. Once that top section was gone, that allowed me to see the bottom elements better, and I prefer this quite a bit. And yeah, this is really nice movement through here.
Yeah,
really beautiful.
I really like that bottom crop, definitely.
I would almost like to see a little bit more light on this cliff wall, just that one cliff wall there, maybe just a splash back in here. I think just bring that up a skosh, and I think that would be.
And I
quite
think
nice.
I'd maybe even throw a gradient on the top and just bring that brightness down just a little bit more, just to get a little more color in the sky. And there's a little bit of a kind of a violet color in the light on the rocks in the far distance that I think would be real beautiful to accentuate.
And then once you convert
you
it to
mention
black
that,
and white,
because-
then we can just
Because
put
of my
a
other
K.
version, I did that exact
Put
same
the H in there. Gotta convert it to black and white first, and then we can take care of that there.
I think Jeff was actually standing right next to me when I took this picture.
I was going to ask you because I think see, black and white, we can really pop those highlights on the.
Yeah. And then I would want some more light down in here. A little bit. Yeah, that's looking nice.
See what
Bill?
the magenta slider does to that background, or actually a lot of the rocks, but what it does to that far slope.
What about a darker sky in a black and white version?
Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially. Although I'm not sure, Phil, in this because we have so much darkness down in here in the shadows areas. I think that sky is actually kind of needed to help balance that out. Frankly, yeah.
Pretty cool though.
Cool, thanks.
Cool, yeah.
All right. Rick, did you want to add anything to this, or we didn't give you a chance?
No, that's fine. You guys, you know what you're doing. Phil, good shot, man. Good capture.
I don't know if I'd go that far to say we know what we're doing, but you know. All right, we have
Well,
three
half of
left.
you
Thank you
do.
for staying with us, people. We have three more here. Let's go with too cool for high school. Rick, let's let you give you a chance to talk.
I appreciate it. You know, typical high school kid, well done, nice leading line. You know, when we look at the composition, we've got the head in a really good, strong PowerPoint. However, it wouldn't hurt to maybe come down just a little bit because we've got a lot of area here that's commanding a lot of the image area. So sometimes we have to think, well, you know, in terms of the PowerPoint, can we kind of compromise a little bit and crop, as I'm suggesting, to the left, and we still have a leading line into the subject, so that he's not so far to the right. As a matter of fact, if we have a little more room to the right on the file, it wouldn't be bad to, in my opinion, to see that. Really nice lighting coming in, and I have to think that that's pretty much natural lighting that's coming in. So kudos to the maker. A lot of times we got to make sure we take some light out there. You know, there you go. Yeah.
He stands out a lot more that way, doesn't he?
Oh, he absolutely does.
You got a lot of busy background, and I think this is.
Yeah. And then we can come in and maybe, you know, tone down these areas in here. I'm looking at the posturing. Looks good to me. I don't know. It may or may not have been toned down a little bit here. I'm just seeing kind of a haloing around the leg. You know, something to consider. But I think good lens selection and good aperture, because we've got a nice soft background. Sometimes they can really go out, and sometimes they're too sharp. In this case, I think we're just about right. You know, it still gives a reference to the environment that the senior is in, or young executive, but and then the positioning. You know, there's not a tangent point to him against this pole, or of course he wouldn't be against this one, but you know, I guess what I'm saying is there's a little bit of framing of his body between those two elements. So nicely done.
Well said. I enjoy it very much. Kevin, anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Other than the fact that I did see this haloing down here as well, Rick, at this bottom little triangle section there. So I would look at cleaning that up a bit. Yeah.
Right. And that's something that happens
Yeah.
when we go in and burn in those areas. Just go back in
Yeah.
and make sure you're not seeing those haloing. It's very faint in the front of his leg, but on the back of his leg and on the post right there. And again, those are the kind of things I mean, if we see it, judges will see it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Love the location.
Yeah.
Okay, hang in with us. We got 2 more, gang. Appreciate it. It's called Unknown.
I'll jump in on this one.
I just cannot get rid of the crop tool all of a sudden here. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah. Really liking this element here that kind of just dances through the frame here and kind of just fades out when it gets to the right, and the strong reflection down here gives us a beautiful triangle here pointing back to this. This to me on the left is almost the subject, honestly. I know that this is probably more the subject, but honestly, this is such a strong element. That's where my eye goes, and I enjoy it being there. I think this is a really cool element. I am seeing a little something here I would maybe kind of look at cleaning. I'm not sure what that is. And then maybe a couple little elements here that you could just kind of touch up, you know?
Yeah.
And then of course, Jeff zooms in, and then my marks are no longer where they were.
Well, they can look at this. Whoa.
The zoom marks don't zoom with the photo, with the
No, they
Photoshop
don't. They
file.
don't.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
and this is a really strong panel. This is almost let's see, this is 1, 2,
almost 4 to 1.
this is it's almost 4 to 1. Yeah.
3 2/3 to 1.
3 2/3 to 1. Yeah.
I couldn't
I
agree
like this.
more,
I think the matte choice as well, and the key line choice color is beautiful. I think this is really well done.
Yeah, this element has to be there. I agree with you, man. That just makes the composition.
Yeah.
All right.
It sure does.
I got to do this. I got to do this because this is what we do.
Yes. Bring it. Bring it to black and white. Now you're talking my flavor. Yeah, look at what it does to these grasses back here when you brighten those yellows up. Really, really looks good.
Yeah. I'm gonna strongly suggest to the maker black and white on this one.
Yeah.
I do too.
And if Rick agrees, we're in, man. So that's just killer right there. Yeah, yeah. We can all put our initials on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all of us.
Very cool. I might, again, we talk minor points, but the key line, maybe cut that in half. I don't know. It's probably. 10
You know,
or 12.
Jeff, now that you put it to black and white, the key line jumps out, but before it didn't actually.
true,
It worked. In the color photograph, it worked. It did work.
That's true.
Yeah, see, it's
Very true.
subtle here, and I like it here on the color photograph.
Yeah, if you're gonna do black and white, I would definitely either tone it down, but I would maybe make it a thinner key line. It's close. It's not bad, but this black and white is stellar, you guys.
And look at
Well,
this, once you're in
you
black
put
and
the
white
yellow
too,
up
what's
instead of
what's really
line.
nice too is we have this patch of grass up here, which actually works really cool. It helps balance this whole thing.
Does.
You have this really beautiful composition through there.
It does.
It's nice. Yeah, because if you were to cut that out, that whiteness out, then you almost have this line right there where the light just stops, and so you need that over there. Again, this is one that would look very good hanging above a mantle.
Oh, can you imagine an 80-inch print of this one?
Yeah, just amazing. Yeah,
I was thinking
30 by 80.
Yeah, I was thinking 90 inch.
90? Okay, 30 by 90.
Yeah.
Hey, we have one question.
Yes.
Chuck Townsend said, "Hey Jeff, my images are missing."
Right, that's all right. Okay, I'm gonna go look real quick. And actually, well, I always have all kinds of excuses, but let's do this next one and I'll look real quick. This is called Young Woman. Rick, I will throw it to you.
Yeah. Number one, really nice lighting on the face, obviously coming in from camera right. Nice S curve through the body. I like the effort that the maker made as far as posturing the hands. I'm just wondering what lens we might have been using, because let's look at the focal length, because let's look at the hand and the size of the hand, and then we look at the face, and we've got a really good size hand here compared to the face itself. As far as the posing or posturing of the hand, especially the one under her jaw, is handled really well. Not so, not so bad on the lower hand, but we could probably tuck it in under a little further just to have a little more graceful flow of the hand. Also, I'm seeing, with this hand, and then her hips, her waist, and her bottom just seem to be so, I don't know, out of scale, compared to her hand. So I guess I have some concerns there. But in terms of the lighting, no problem there. The background, I think, was handled well. The color harmony, the framing with the arch is handled nicely. But that's really my concern. But man, there's a lot of beauty in that lighting and expression of the face.
Kevin,
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah, I'll jump in. To add to I agree with everything that Rick was saying, and I really am enjoying the background, this movement back here, and I love the texture on the wall. But I would look at a couple things when you're working on textures on wall like this. This one down here really takes away from her. It's too close and bold, and then there's like a little linear element that's happening here that you could eliminate. All the rest of the texture looks kind of nice. Even this one here, maybe above the head, could maybe be toned back. And then potentially this flyaway of her hair. But, just to add to everything Rick says, but I love this texture that's coming in here. That's really pretty. So, but just some of those other ones I felt were kind of distracting, I'd say. Is there something here, Jeff, on her arm that I'm seeing?
I think
Got
it's a tattoo.
maybe?
I'm guessing
tattoo. Yeah, because
tattoo,
I'm seeing another.
I see a tattoo on the side of her arm here. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Got you.
All
Yeah.
right.
Cool.
So for the moment, I'm going to close this out and give you back screen sharing. So once you guys chat for a moment, I have one of our viewers is telling me his email came, but I didn't see his images. So give me a moment to find those. And you guys go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Sure. Yeah, this was super fun. It's amazing to be a part of this and hear you guys talk about portrait work that I know that I'm also going to have to look at and critique as well, because a lot of times when I'm hearing portrait photographers critique images, I'm looking at it and seeing all these things, but not necessarily looking at it from a critique perspective. So it's interesting to go into that world a little bit tonight. So I appreciate that opportunity.
Well, and I admire and always have landscape photographers, any of you photographers that negotiate the wild, so to speak, that you get up at maybe 2 o'clock morning, travel for an hour, hour and a half just to get to
Yeah.
the spot where you have to then hike for another 45 minutes or an hour to get up still before light is even anywhere near coming up, the sunrise, and to get a capture that may or may not be there depending on the light.
That's right.
Then I have to think, that's why I do portraits.
You can
and I'll just
control your light. You can carry your lights in a little wagon behind you to
Yeah,
wherever
that's
you're
right.
going.
But I have
Yeah.
to add this to that all the years Rick and I have known each other, and we were going places and we see these beautiful landscapes, and he'll go, yeah. Now picture of a guy was standing right here.
Yeah.
A
That's why
bride,
we say
whatever.
we're the background photographers, Jeff. We photograph background so that Rick can go
Exactly.
back later with a model and
Hey,
So-
set up shop.
Not to cut you
Cliffy.
guys off real quick, but I found one of our members emailed me 2 images and I did not get him in the bunch. So I'm going to pull those up right now. So we have 2.
Okay,
to look
great.
at.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
I will steal the screen back here real quick and then,
Yeah, please.
oops.
Did you say something to me, Rick?
Let's do it right because we're going to do these critiques, right, Jeffy?
Yeah,
And then I'll
yes.
get right back to you, Cliffy.
Oh, okay. All right.
And let me just enlarge it for you. This is called The Other Side of the Tracks. Kevin, go ahead, man.
Yeah, you got it. Jump in here. Yeah, super busy scene that I think is handled pretty well. Considering all the things that are, all the elements that are going on. Look at how lovely the verticals are. I'm going to point that out right away. I mean, that's perfect, perfectly done on these windows over here on the side. That's what I look at. And then again, this element on the side there. So verticals are done very well. I wish the sky was different. We can't always get that necessarily, but if it's a location you could return to, I would maybe return on a day that's puffy white clouds or maybe even no clouds. So you could get a deep, dark sky, just beautifully dark all the way through would really make this image pop. And then maybe a little more breathing room at the bottom here so that this little building down here has a little bit beneath it before the edge of the frame. But I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing through here. It's a busy scene that I think is handled very well.
I have a
Rick,
question
anything?
for you. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a question for you, Kev.
Yeah.
With regard to the sky, and that was something that I was looking at as well.
Yeah.
You're such an expert at these long exposures. Is that something that can be incorporated in this? So
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on where you are, I don't know where this location is. If it's out west, out in Denver area, then
It is, yes. That's the
Okay.
ice house right there. It's
That's
right
what
by
I thought it
the
was.
Union
Yeah, I thought I
Station.
recognized
The
it.
backside of Union Station.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, so long exposures in Colorado are going to take, with this wide of an angle of a lens, would take upwards of 8 minutes. But what would happen?
Really?
Yeah, because the clouds physically have to move a long distance, and they don't move fast in Denver, like they do out at the coast. So, when you're at the coast here in Charleston or something, the clouds are moving at a pretty quick pace, but in Denver, they move slow. But the right clouds, if they're puffy and moving in a direction like this or the opposite direction, that would get a really nice ethereal look. And that juxtaposition with the rigidity of the
You
buildings
said the word.
would be stunning. The juxtaposition, the
That's it.
juxtaposition would be very stunning against these buildings. So a long exposure capture would absolutely work, Rick.
Kevin, I think it would be kind of cool and we get this just a little bit of a long exposure with that train was moving through that area and just a bit of a blur, so you still knew it was a train, like just a few seconds. That would be cool.
You would probably have to do 2 captures and blend them in post. So you would have the 8-minute capture for the sky up here, and then probably like a 5-second capture for the train movement.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe 5 second, maybe even too long, actually. Maybe just like 1 or 2 seconds for the train movement.
Wow. That's interesting. That's valuable information.
And I'll weigh in real quickly in that. I mean, Kevin, your long exposure black and white photography is so amazing, and we need to bring you out here to Colorado sometime for one of these.
Bring him home. Bring him home.
Yeah. So on your experience, and I know you use like what 16 stop, I think it's 16 stop. What would be the right
Yeah.
And I don't know what time of day and so forth and that, but do you have like a recommendations like what neutral density filter you would use on this and how you would go about getting what you described as far as getting that motion in the sky? Because I'm seeing this and I'm envisioning your technique on this one, and any suggestions you could provide would be great.
Yeah, of course. So to get an 8-minute capture during the middle of the day, let's just say this was middle of the day, and it looks like it's roughly middle of the day. The shadows aren't too terribly long, and it's brightly lit. So to get that 5 to 8 minute exposure, you would definitely need a 16 stop ND filter. Absolutely. And then to get a shorter 2-second exposure or 1-second exposure for the train movement, you would only need like a 10 stop filter, let's say.
Right.
So you'd need to have 2 different filters to utilize that technique if you were going to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just curious
Yeah,
as to,
absolutely.
again, having seen some of what you've done, how you apply that to our Colorado skies and, like you say,
Yeah.
slow movement in the clouds, how you would
Yeah.
capture something that would be interesting in this scene.
For
It's
sure.
already beautiful, but how you would use your techniques and so forth to get that would be great.
Appreciate the kind words. Yeah. Thanks, Michael.
All right, gang, we have one more image to view, and it is called Torment on the Las Vegas Strip. Sorry, let me give you a little larger size there. There you go.
Oh, I feel for that guy.
Exactly. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, the
How much did
title
he
just
lose?
drives it home, right?
How much did he lose, or did she say no when he
Yeah,
asked?
exactly. Really liking this composition quite a bit, and I really love this lighting through here that's reflecting off the pavement. That movement is really pretty, and then with him sitting there, in turmoil,
Right.
having lost his money or whatever it may have been, Las Vegas Strip. The composition is really nice. I almost wish there weren't all these people in the background. And to touch on long exposure, again, you can utilize long exposure to actually remove people because as they move around, they disappear. So he's sitting still, let's say, and if you could actually have him pose that way for 30 seconds, you could get enough of these people to move to where they would be blurred and he would be completely in focus. And that would make this capture very strong. But let's say that's not possible, of course. So we're critiquing an image that we're presented with. And for me, these people take away from the story a little bit. Rick, anything you want to add?
Yes, interesting. I'm just on the other side.
Okay.
Number one, in terms of cropping, I was just coming in from the right a little bit, just to isolate him a little bit, because there's a lot of real estate behind him. And we crop in from the right a little bit, and we still have a strong leading line to the
Yes.
Secondly, I liked the people in there for this reason. He's going through all of this turmoil and torment mentally and whatever. And yet, in terms of the story, people are still going their way, having their fun, doing their thing, and he's isolated from them. So
life carries on, right?
Life carries on.
Yeah. Jeff, nicely done here on that corner.
I thought that was a good, powerful line there to really accentuate.
Yes, it is. One of the times you can break a rule, guys, is we're not supposed to have things come out of a corner, but if you're going to have it come out of a corner, have it come out of the corner.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Make it intentional.
There's a photographer, and I can't think of his name right now, but he does a lot of really long exposure, like 20 and 30 minute stuff in some very popular places. And what he does is he'll go in Grand Central Station, the Eiffel Tower, but he'll pose 2 or 3 people like this and have them sit there the whole time, and then everybody else disappears. And you talk about powerful, creepy, very unique kind of stuff. So I know what you're saying, Rick. It adds to it, but man, when you take a scene, especially a famous scene that we've seen before and we're familiar with it, and to put one or two people in there that are frozen, but there's nobody else around, very cool.
Yeah.
I do like what you were saying, Rick, though, and I didn't look at it from that perspective. And it does kind of drive home the fact that just because someone is in some pain for whatever reason it may be, everybody else's life is carrying on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would potentially, with this particular crop choice, I would potentially maybe remove these people, clone them out because they're just right on the edge. But the other groupings, per Rick's suggestions, actually, I kind of like.
Well, and it kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of the wise person that said, you know, you've got your worries, you've got your concerns, you've got your woes, and you're so tempted to tell the world and anyone and everyone that would listen. And the fact of the matter is 80% don't care, and the other 20% are happy it's not them not happening to them.
Yeah. Ain't
It's
that the
interesting
truth?
in that crop, you get the full rail there, and the rail is actually a rail of 3.
Yeah, right here.
somebody-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I
Oh, I
start
see
drawing and
there's
Jeff starts
3, yeah.
moving. So Jeff, when you had it cropped before, what he was
Like
saying was
this?
these rails are still seen in full, but there's 3 of them.
Right, yeah,
Stop
exactly.
moving.
Yeah.
Good grief, man. As soon as I start drawing, he starts moving.
And you
I'm
know,
drawing your-
did a nice job as well. You know, with the subject, there's no tangent line with the rail above him. I
I
don't have,
noticed that. He's right in the void there. Yeah. I
Yeah.
noticed that. It's nice.
Step away from the keyboard.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice job.
I like
Nice
it.
job, everybody.
Thanks for sticking those in, Jeff. I appreciate you finding them for me.
Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't get him in there in the first place. I thought I had him, but thanks for saying that. And that's, yeah, so we're good. And we've had everybody has stuck around. That's what's great. So thank you guys ever so much for staying with us for 3 hours. And
Yeah, wow.
and I hope you've enjoyed it all. We'll, of course, as I do, this has been recorded, and we will have it up on both our site, theimagecritiqueshow.com, and we have a YouTube page, The Image Critique Show Colorado. So please go there, and if you aren't following us, please do. We like some numbers there, but all of
Do
the
I get-
videos can be found up there as well.
Jeff, do I get overtime pay for this tonight?
Absolutely, Cliff. How much
Okay.
would you like?
Whatever.
I'll tell you what, Cliffy, you'll get
Wait.
twice as much as
That's
you're
what I was
getting
going to say. We'll
now.
pay you double, Cliff.
Double of 0 is 0.
That's right.
What did
Any
you
other
ask?
questions from the peanut gallery? Thank you for staying around, everybody. I appreciate that. The whole audience pretty much stayed.
Thank you so very much,
Awesome.
everyone. Kevin,
Even I stayed.
Yeah, what time is it, Kevin? There where you're at? You're at, like
11
about 2 in the
o'clock,
morning?
11:10,
11:10.
11:11 almost.
Kevin, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Man, what an educational experience for all of us, I'm sure, for me in particular, I know. And Cliffy, as always, man, you're the man.
Glad to help.
You're the man, man.
Christina, it's good to see
it's
you.
been
Thank
fun.
everyone for being here. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, all you new folks, first timers, man, we really appreciate that. And please tell the rest of your friends. And if there's anything we can do, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Christine and Yeti, if there's something that we can do for a program for your groups, please contact us and let us know. We'd love to. I think we're doing something for you, Michael. Isn't that true with Colorado? And
Yeah, Colorado and another
Real
group
too.
that I'm associated with, the Lone Tree Photo Club, and that. But really appreciate all the, again, great. This is a great program. All of us learn so much every month you guys do this. So
however you could spread the word, Jeff
Yep.
and I really appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, we got some other cool stuff in the. Oh, Rick, tell them real quick. Everybody who's left, tell them what we're gonna do. Tell them. Come on, tell them.
We have a new addition to our repertoire of what we're offering, and we're calling it the Legends. And what we're going to be doing is interviewing legends in our industry, some that you may know, some maybe you have not heard of, but whose influence has been extremely impactful on in our industry. So be looking for that. Jeffy's master at putting out the information. You know, we
Even the
want
wrong days.
we'll keep it a little cloaked for now, but it's gonna be a wonderful project that I think everyone's gonna enjoy. And it's gonna be some history, there's gonna be some talk about techniques, there's gonna be relationships, if you will, of some photographers with others. It's gonna be a really cool interview type of a session. So whatever you'd like to add to that, Jeffy.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is the idea there is it's gonna be not just one person at a time. We're gonna probably we're thinking 3. So it'll be people who have known, all of the 5 of us will have known each other for years. So there's gonna be a lot of great old stories and good laughs and such. But I think it's gonna be real powerful. To stay tuned for that. We've got some other things planned, and also we've got the guild is bringing in what's his name?
Unmesh.
Unmesh. And he's agreed to have Rick and I are going to do an interview with him as well, probably 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks before his program. So stay tuned for that. We're going to do that. We'll probably do that and then put it up there. It won't be live.
Thank you for watching the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson and Rick Avalos. Learn more by checking them out at theimagecritiqueshow.com.